Chapter 10:28. Wang Xing no longer needed to practice the moves. He was now slowing down and practicing the use of spiritual energy. The last part of the scroll was definitely the experience of a top master. Wang Xing looked at the records and found that there were more than 80 acupuncture points involved, close to 90. This was not something that ordinary people could cultivate. The old Taoist, who was in charge of reviewing the scrolls, gave the military killing technique a grade of 7, which was a little low. One had to know that the Daozong mantra only required 81 acupuncture points, but the military killing technique actually required more acupuncture points than the Daozong mantra. What did this mean? If one could really cultivate the Daozong mantra, would he still need to cultivate this kind of close combat killing technique? Therefore, even if he really copied it, he would only treat it as a joke. Even the old Taoist of the Qing generation might not have close to 90 acupuncture points. Such a simple technique, such a profound use of spiritual energy, was simply a joke. How was it possible that even a master in the legendary realm could not cultivate such a difficult technique? However, this did not prevent the old Taoist of the Qing generation from classifying the technique as a grade 7. Because even without the assistance of spiritual energy, just using one's ordinary spiritual energy to attack with this technique was also a first-class killing technique. Therefore, he gave it a grade 7, but it was not listed as the top. The old Taoist Ling Su had also looked at it, but his opinion was slightly different from the one in charge of reviewing. The old Taoist looked at it in a cursory manner. He first looked at the ones that interested him. As for the cultivation techniques and combat skills, the old Taoist only glanced at them once and learned those that were helpful to him. He did not learn those that he was not interested in. Obviously, the military killing technique did not enter the eyes of the old Taoist. Even if the use of spiritual energy was extremely profound and advanced, in old Dan's opinion, it was a bit of a fuss, like killing a chicken with a butcher's knife. The old Taoist knew his stuff, but he did not ponder it carefully. Maybe after he read through all the scrolls, he would come back to read the military killing technique in detail. For the old Taoist to give an extremely profound definition of the method of using spiritual energy, one could imagine how precious it was. Of course, for a technique that even the old Taoist of the Qing generation felt that he could not cultivate, it showed how difficult it was to cultivate. Unfortunately, no one knew that Wang Xing was the founder of the military killing technique in this world. Although he didn't know how to use spiritual energy, he was already very familiar with the moves. After that, it would be much easier to cultivate these spiritual energy techniques. In particular, these spirit chi techniques were clearly modified for the military's killing techniques. It could even be said that they were specially created for the military's killing techniques. Their compatibility was seamless, and each move and style could increase the killing power to the maximum. As soon as Wang Xing started, he had a feeling that this was how it should be. Every movement matched with the spiritual energy technique was actually so natural. With the current number of Wang Xing's 256 acupuncture points, cultivating a technique that did not meet the requirement of 90 acupuncture points was really like using an anti-aircraft gun to hit a mosquito. Another point was that Wang Xing and the old Taoist flew back and forth in the heavy snow every day in the inner circle of the land of Thousand Despair, so their control of spiritual energy could be said to have reached the acme of perfection. At least 99 out of 100 experts at the peak of the legendary realm could not be compared to Wang Xing's control of spiritual energy. Therefore, cultivating such a tailor-made spiritual energy technique was extremely easy. Controlling the spiritual energy according to the circulation method of the acupuncture points recorded in the scroll, Wang Xing's movements changed from slow to fast, becoming more and more free and comfortable. The power in his hands also made Wang Xing feel that it was getting stronger and stronger. With his physical strength of tens of thousands of kilograms, coupled with the assistance of spiritual energy, even if an expert of the legendary realm came, he could still be crushed to death by Wang Xing with his bare hands. What was even more amazing was that after Wang Xing practiced from beginning to end, the 128 combat consciousness minions seemed to have suddenly been enlightened. One by one, they demonstrated all the military killing techniques from beginning to end. The postures and routines were even more profound than Wang Sheng's. This slightly surprised Wang Sheng, but at the same time, he became more and more curious about the origin of the combat consciousness minions. What was certain was that the combat consciousness minions must have a deep relationship with the girl in his dream, but the specific relationship was unknown, which made Wang Sheng feel a little distressed. After just one demonstration, Wang Sheng had already engraved the use of spiritual energy on the scroll in his mind. When he practiced for the second time, he had added a lot of changes, but the spiritual energy technique was still extremely smooth. It could be said that he could use it as he pleased. After 2 rounds of practice, Wang Sheng had completely mastered the complete military killing technique. If the opponent was an expert of the same level, as long as the opponent dared to look down on Wang Sheng would definitely be able to kill him in one blow at close range. Even if it was an expert of a higher level than Wang Sheng, as long as he revealed a flaw, Wang Sheng would be able to kill him. In the past, Wang Sheng dared to use the military killing technique because he borrowed the sharpness of the Tiger Fang saber. But Wang Sheng also knew that when one's cultivation reached a certain level, many things could be blocked. With the help of an array and a protective suit made of demon bee skin, the defensive ability could be reached to the extreme. Even with the Tiger Fang saber, sometimes it might not be able to cut through the opponent's defense. But now it was different. With the use of spiritual energy in the military killing technique, it could be said that Wang Sheng's Tiger Fang saber had an armor-piercing attribute. Compared to Wang Sheng's cultivation, Wang Sheng was also confident that he could break through the defense in one blow and kill him. The power of a bare-handed attack was slightly weaker, but Wang Sheng now had a combat technique called the Energy Returning Hand. It was a super combat technique that could directly amplify Wang Sheng's attack. When he was in the 7th realm, it could amplify Wang Sheng's attack by more than 6 times. Each acupuncture point increased the attack power by 5 points. Now that Wang Sheng had 256 acupuncture points, it could be said that the attack power was directly amplified by 13 times. 13 times Wang Sheng's full strength attack. Wang Sheng had this confidence that even a peak legend rank expert might not be able to take it. With a thought, the 128 little people with combat consciousness immediately began to deduce how to combine the energy returning hand with the military killing technique. There were too many things that could be done with 256 acupuncture points. Previously, when Wang Sheng had just completed the Basya transformation, he didn't think about which one to complete next. But now, after obtaining the military killing technique, Wang Sheng already had a very clear direction. In the next stage, Wang Sheng needed to enhance his combat strength and combat skills. And among the remaining choices among the 9 sons of the dragon, there was only one that could meet his requirements. Yazi could be said to be the most powerful one among the 9 sons of the dragon, and also the one that had the most direct relationship with combat. Its head was even directly carved on the mouth of the weapon to increase the power of the weapon. Wang Sheng's next transformation was the Yazi transformation. Chapter 1029. When this thought appeared in Wang Sheng's mind, his spirit space immediately began to change. Countless clouds gathered, wrapping around the black viper that was playing with the spiritual liquid in the pool, turning it into a white mist, and then began to slowly change. This was a situation that happened every time, so Wang Sheng was not surprised. He quietly sat in the practice room. His consciousness sank into his spirit space and slowly waited. After an unknown amount of time, the clouds dispersed, and a giant Tiger Fang saber appeared in front of Wang Sheng. Looking closely, the blade was exactly the same, but the hilt had changed. The hilt had turned into a monster with a large mouth spitting out the blade, or it could be said that it had a large mouth biting the blade. The shape was still the shape of the hilt, but the pattern on it had become illusory. Even the pattern on the big mouth was the same. Wang Sheng understood that this was the part that he needed to rely on his own spiritual qi to condense. When the hilt was completely condensed, then the Yazi transformation would be completed. Letting out a long breath, Wang Sheng's consciousness withdrew from his spirit space. When he opened his eyes, there was a lot of light in his eyes. Standing up, Wang Sheng's entire person was like a sword that had been unsheathed with a threatening aura. When Meyer and Rosa returned to the mansion in the afternoon, when they saw Wang Sheng, the two women's eyes lit up. In the past, Wang Sheng gave them a feeling of an indomitable pillar, but it had never been as dazzling as it was today. In the hearts of the two women, Wang Sheng's current temperament had a dazzling feeling. It was a kind of feeling that no matter what Wang Sheng was wearing, no matter what group of people Wang Sheng was sitting in, they would still be able to see him shining with a single glance, bright and dazzling. For the two women, this was the moment that made them fall in love with him more than ever. The two women wished that they could turn into moths and rush to Wang Sheng's shining torch without hesitation. Not only did the two women have this feeling, even the several great masters who were going to play today, as well as the dozens of high Taoist masters who were listening in the mansion, also had a similar feeling. However, these great masters and high Taoist masters were all experts, and they were also people who had fought before. Their feeling was slightly different from the two women. The two women only felt that Wang Sheng was becoming more and more eye-catching, but they only felt that Wang Sheng was showing off his edge. Wang Sheng was a person who had killed people, and he was a person who had killed people like cutting grass. When he showed off his edge, what kind of feeling was that? Although Wang Sheng had already restrained it to a large extent, the kind of murderous aura on his body could still be seen through his body. Fortunately, when the great masters began to play, the edge on Wang Sheng's body slowly converged. When the masters finished playing, Wang Sheng had once again become the previous Wang Sheng. At night, when the two women were lying together with Wang Sheng again, Meyer suddenly asked Wang Sheng, "Duke, have you already reached the 8th-stage realm and achieved the balance of yin and yang?" As soon as Mei-er's words came out, Rosa on the other side of Wang Sheng also pricked up her ears, and the arm on Wang Sheng's body tightened. Because of Mei-er's special physique, she needed Wang Sheng to be in the 8th-stage realm and achieve the balance of yin and yang before they could have sex. In order to marry Wang Sheng, Mei-er had been waiting anxiously, and now she finally couldn't help but ask. Almost. Wang Sheng didn't intend to hide it from Mei-er, and smiled as he replied, "Even if there's still some imbalance, it doesn't matter anymore." The Ba Wei's huge spiritual liquid, in addition to the change in the core of the grounds of Thousand Despair, which could turn the spiritual liquid into spiritual energy ice cubes, had completely improved Wang Sheng's yin and yang imbalance. Otherwise, how would the old Taoist be assured to let Wang Sheng out? Really, Meyer didn't seem to believe the answer she heard. As she directly sat up and asked again, her tone was filled with surprise. Really? Wang Sheng gave a definite answer in front of Meyer. Suddenly, Meyer didn't know how to express her current feelings. Wild with joy. Would that make Wang Sheng feel that she was shameless? Extremely bashful? But in her heart, she clearly wanted to laugh. In the end, Meyer could only blush, unable to say anything. But from her face, one could clearly see a shy smile. It was simply perfect. The sudden change almost made Wang Sheng dumbfounded. There was a blissful smile on her face. Was there anything more beautiful than this? "Congratulations, Duke. Congratulations, madam." On the other side, Rosa looked at Mei-er and laughed out loud. Of course, she knew why Mei-er pushed herself into Wang Sheng's arms at that time, and she also knew Mei-er's thoughts. Now, it seemed that Mei-er could finally get what she wanted. As for the way she addressed her, Rosa had long regarded Mei-er as madam. Every time she addressed her in this way, Mei-er would be secretly delighted. Could it be that she still couldn't see through Mei-er's thoughts? "Good girl." Wang Sheng stretched out his hand and gently stroked Mei-er's burning hot face. When Wang Sheng's hand touched, Mei-er's skin seemed to become even hotter. Letting go of Mei-er's face, Wang Sheng pulled Mei-er's small hand and gently pulled her body down again, her head resting on his arm. Mei-er didn't struggle at all and lay down obediently. I know what you're thinking. It was impossible for Wang Sheng's demonic beast not to like this incomparably charming woman. However, there were some things that Wang Sheng still had to say in advance. He had to let Meyer thoroughly understand his own situation in order to make the right judgment. Another point was that Wang Sheng couldn't determine the situation of the girl in his dreams right now. He couldn't imagine what kind of predicament he would face if the worst-case scenario happened. Therefore, even if he knew what Mei was thinking, he still had to make it clear to her. At this moment, Mei Er's heart was beating so loudly that she almost couldn't hear anything else. Wang Sheng's words of knowing what she was thinking made Mei feel that everything she had done all these years was worth it. Her heart warmed up and she almost shed tears. There are some things that you must know. Wang Sheng calmed himself down and said to Mei. At the same time, he didn't forget to take care of Rosa. He turned to Rosa and added, Rosa, you too. The two girls obediently laid down beside Wang Sheng and waited for Wang Sheng to speak. What do you think of my current situation? After a few breaths of silence, Wang Sheng asked, can I gain a foothold among the major vassal states? Of course. Rosa answered without hesitation. Duke, don't tell me you haven't gained a foothold yet. On the other side, Mayor also said with a smile, You're the Duke Changsheng, personally conferred by the Emperor. Moreover, you're also a secular elder of the Laojun Temple. This isn't considered gaining a foothold. You could be considered a major force by yourself. Chapter 10:30. Obviously, Wang Sheng said the first half of the sentence. Hearing this, the two women smiled, but then Wang Sheng added, No. The two women were stunned. They lifted their heads from Wang Sheng's arms and looked at Wang Sheng in confusion. Why? Wang Sheng looked at the two puzzled beauties and asked, I've killed people from the various great families before. You two know about this, right? This was no longer a secret. The reason why Wang Sheng was forced to enter the ground of despair was because he was being hunted. Who was hunting him? Experts from all the big families. Apart from the secret sects, all the big families had sent people to participate. In the end, Wang Sheng passed through the lands of Thousand Extremes and entered the carefree city alone. The experts from the various clans who were chasing after Wang Sheng all died in the lands of Thousand Extremes. The two women nodded. They knew this, especially Rosa. When Wang Sheng entered Carefree City, it was Rosa who helped Rosa. She knew how many killer cards Wang Sheng had. In addition, the Dai family had killed many important people like Dai Huan, Dai Si, Dai Wuji, and the Great Elder. There were more than 20 experts in the Ground of Despair and many experts outside Carefree City, but they all died in Wang Sheng's hands. Although Song Yin of the Song family had a good relationship with Wang Sheng, and Mayor was very jealous, High Duke Song hated Wang Sheng to the bone. Several of High Duke Song's trusted experts had also died in Wang Sheng's hands. How could Song Yin suppress this hatred alone? At first, the Sher family's side branches were killed. But later, the Peerless Treasure Map was bought from Wang Sheng. How could they not hate him? Who knew how many times the Xia family had plotted against Wang Sheng by ascending their death sworn? Qi. The Qiu family had instigated Zhu Xiaodong in Tongxing City to deal with Wang Sheng. There is not a single clan that had not had someone die in the hands of Wang Sheng. So, do you think that these people from the big families don't have any hatred and anger after I killed them? Wang Sheng sighed and asked unhurriedly, You can't be thinking that all the big clans are running charity halls. I've killed so many of their people, but they still want to do business with me with a smile. But now, Mei of course, knew how terrifying the great clans were. She immediately became anxious. She wanted to say that they were not at peace now, but she immediately swallowed the words she wanted to say. How could they live in harmony? Many people in the capital were watching Wang Sheng, waiting for Wang Sheng to make a mistake and plot against him. Right now, they can maintain this status quo because they need my help. Wang Sheng did not hesitate to say the most important reason. Before the secret of the Thousand Extremities is completely unraveled, the big clans will smile at me no matter how much they hate me, because I still have some use for them. There was no doubt about this. Now, no one except Wang Sheng dared to pat their chest and say that they could go back and forth in the inner circle of the Thousand Extremities. Although the restriction that the experts who entered the Thousand Extremities would be suppressed to the 7th stage had been lifted, even the 9 people from the Sher family and the Gan family dared not say that they could safely enter the core of the thousand extremities without Wang Sheng's help. If they wanted to unravel the secret of the thousand extremities, only Wang Sheng could do it. Wang Sheng was the only one who could do it. In that case, don't unravel the secrets of the land of a thousand despair, Mei suggested to Wang Sheng without hesitation. Rosa, who was beside her, nodded incessantly. As long as Wang Sheng did not unravel the secret of the thousand extremities, wouldn't he be able to maintain the status quo? The problem is, I have a reason to unravel the secret of the thousand extremities. Wang Sheng smiled bitterly. Not unravel the secret of the thousand extremities? What kind of joke was that? He had waited so long for the girl in his dreams to say, "You're here," to the inner circle of the thousand extremities. How could Wang Sheng stop at such a time? Mei and Rosa really wanted to know why Wang Sheng was so determined to unravel the secret of the thousand extremities, but they could not bring themselves to ask. This was simply a dead end. If he did not unravel the secret of the thousand extremities, Wang Sheng would probably be safe. However, Wang Sheng had a reason to unravel the secret. It could be said that Wang Sheng was actively unraveling the secret step by step, and then walking closer and closer to the thousand extremities where the big clans would retaliate. What will happen then? Rosa wanted to ask, but her voice became softer and softer. It was obvious that she had already thought of the result. What else would happen? Once Wang Sheng no longer had any value, the big clans would immediately bare their fangs. After killing so many of the big clan's disciples, did Wang Sheng still want to be merciful? In fact, Wang Sheng firmly believed that not only those that Wang Sheng had personally killed, but also those experts from the big clans who had died in order to unravel the secret of the thousand extremities would all be blamed on Wang Sheng. Who told you not to cooperate closely with me and let me suffer the least losses? This is not fair. When Wang Sheng said the latter part of his conjecture, Mer immediately cried out anxiously. Fair! Wang Sheng stretched out his hand and caressed Mei Er's delicate face. Is there any fairness in this world? If it was, why would Zhu Xingxing hand over Bao Qing Yutang to Zhu Xiaodong when you were doing well? The 8 big clans have suppressed the surrounding powers. Do you really think that those secluded sects are really willing to live in seclusion? Talk to them about fairness? The 2 girls were speechless. Talking about fairness with the 8 big clans? What a joke. Once they had decided on something, they would definitely do it boldly if it was reasonable. If it was unreasonable, they would do it first. Even after doing it, it was unknown if there would be anyone left alive to reason with. Fairness? There's also the royal family. I suddenly thought of something and hurriedly said to Wang Sheng, I'll go and recognize the emperor tomorrow. Then we'll join the royal family. How about that? Are you thinking that the royal family is not dying fast enough? Wang Sheng laughed. It seemed like Mei was really anxious to even think of such an idea. The royal family was currently struggling to survive in the cracks, making use of all kinds of opportunities to strengthen themselves. If they really showed any signs of wanting to expand, they would immediately be annihilated by the other clans. If Wang Sheng joined the royal family, with Wang Sheng's ability to make money, the other clans would definitely unite to pressure the royal family. At that time, Wang Sheng would definitely be chased out. Lao Junguan, Rosa reminded anxiously, and the Lao Junguan, they wouldn't dare to provoke the Lao Junguan. Yes, and the Lao Junguan. Mei seemed to be grasping at straws. With the power of the Lao Junguan, it should be able to protect Wang Sheng, right? If I stay in a Lao Junguan, there will definitely be no problem. Wang Sheng was familiar with the personalities of the old Taoist Ling, Su, and the Grand Abidine. He smiled and shook his head, but do you think I can be patient and stay in the Lao Junguan? Carefree City. Rosa finally said the last option. If it doesn't work, go to Carefree City. Wang Sheng smiled and shook his head. Go to Carefree City to fight with Uncle Li. Chapter 1031. Rather than going to Carefree City, I might as well stay in the old Supreme Lord Temple. Wang Sheng smiled and didn't say anything else. But the 2 ladies understood. Even if they went to Carefree City, they would still be imprisoned in Carefree City. It would be better to stay in the old Supreme Lord Temple, where they would have more freedom. At the thought that Wang Sheng might have to face such a situation in the near future, the two ladies didn't know what to do and were so anxious that they wanted to cry. Who would have thought that once the Marquis Chang Sheng unraveled the secret of the grounds of Thousand Despair, he would be faced with such a situation? Don't think that Wang Sheng was already in the 8th degree realm and had many expert guards under him. But so what? If he really wanted to pull them out, they wouldn't even be able to be easily destroyed by a duke. How could a young lad like Wang Sheng, who had only been in this world for a few years, compare to a family that had been operating for hundreds of years? Then when the time comes, I'll accompany you to stay in the old Supreme Lord Temple. Mayor suddenly gritted her teeth and said to Wang Sheng, her eyes shining with an unwavering light, "I'll go too." Rosa immediately followed without hesitation, with the same resolute gaze. Wang Sheng smiled and stretched out his hand to pull the two ladies gently. The two ladies once again lay down beside Wang Sheng. I'm telling you all these just to let you understand that I can't give you too much stability, nor can I give you any promises. Wang Sheng's voice became gentle, and there was some regret in it. Sometimes I'll even drag you down. My life is saved by you. Mayer buried her head in Wang Sheng's arms and said in a low voice, "If it wasn't for you, I would have died in the grounds of Thousand Despair. If it really comes to that, I'll accompany you to die. Anyway, I've already profited." "Me too." Rosa didn't want to fall behind and quickly said, "Duke, I'm also saved by you. When the time comes, I'll accompany Duke and Madam to die." "I don't think so." Wang Sheng tightened his arms around the two girls. Wang Sheng was very touched that the two girls were willing to die with him. "At most, I'll just stay in the Temple of Laojun. It's not to that extent." The Laojun Temple would not take the initiative to become the enemy of all the families for Wang Sheng, but the old Taoist Ling Su would. Wang Sheng was sure of this. Moreover, although the Temple of Laojun would not take the initiative to make an enemy, it would definitely protect them. Wang Sheng could also guarantee this. It would be a lie if Wang Sheng said that he was not touched. In this world, there weren't many people who could make Wang Sheng feel warmth. Song Yin was one, the old Taoist was another, and then there was Mayer. As for the others, including Rosa, the Grand Abbey Dean, and the great Grandmasters of the Pavilion of Delicacy, Wang Sheng treated them as friends, but not to the extent of family warmth. In fact, in Wang Sheng's heart, these three people were already his family. How could Wang Sheng not know Mayer's thoughts? It was just that he was still worried about the girl in his dreams and didn't want to delay Mayer. At the end of the day, Wang Sheng still had a bottom line. Song Yin had pushed Wang Sheng forcefully, and Rosa had no choice but to save his life. As for Mayer, she was like a fairy. Wang Sheng was afraid that he would become the public enemy of the world, and how would Mayer feel? But now, Mayer had already said that she was willing to die with him. If Wang Sheng still hesitated, it would be too unreasonable. Moreover, it wasn't as if Mayer didn't have a place in Wang Sheng's heart. The hesitation in Wang Sheng's heart was swept away, and he said to Mayer, "Let's look for the old Taoist to calculate a good day." Although Wang Sheng didn't say what they were going to do, Mayer and Rosa already understood. Mayer immediately became extremely shy, and her little head burrowed into Wang Sheng's chest. She didn't dare to raise her head for a long time. "Congratulations, Duke." "Congratulations, madam." Rosa, who was at the side, also knew how to joke around and congratulate the two. Wang Sheng smiled and reached out to caress Rosa's soft skin. He said to Rosa, "When the time comes, you'll join us as well." Rosa instantly felt shy, but she was, after all, experienced in battle. Her skin was much thicker than Mayer's. She giggled happily and happily rested her head on Wang Sheng's arm. She didn't say anything else. The three of them hugged each other quietly, and no one said anything. Only the flow of happiness and warmth was left. The next morning, Mayer woke up early and instructed the maidservants to busy themselves. She was unusually energetic. Rosa took the opportunity to tease her. In the morning, Wang Sheng had just eaten breakfast with the two ladies. Just as he was about to continue his cultivation, Steward Wang rushed in and said that the third elder of the Xia family wanted to see him. It's about time. Wang Sheng smiled and reminded Mayor, don't be soft-hearted today. Do your best to kill them. Mayor nodded at Wang Sheng cooperatively. Her hand was in the shape of sharpening a knife. A fierce expression appeared on her beautiful face, but it wasn't scary at all. It only looked cute. In the few days since Wang Sheng returned to the capital, Aki should have already reached Carefree City and released the news to the Xia family. On the first day Wang Sheng returned, Steward Li came to visit. On the second day, Wang Sheng went to the Laojun temple. On the third day, the Xia family hurriedly came to visit. In the living room, Wang Sheng received the third elder of the Xia family. After exchanging greetings, Wang Sheng asked about the battle situation between the Xia family and the Shangyue kingdom. Although he obtained some information from Mayor, it wasn't detailed enough compared to the information from the Xia family. It's a long story. The third elder lamented. The family is unfortunate to have a guy who forgets about morality at the sight of profit. Now he's reaping what he sowed. After lamenting, the third elder told him about the recent battle situation of the Xia family. It was similar to what Mayor said. However, it was more detailed than Mayor's. They had the specific number of experts from the Shangyue kingdom killed. The number of experts from the Shangyue kingdom who died in the Xia kingdom had exceeded 300. Among them, more than 30 were in the legendary realm. The rest were mostly in the 7th or 8th realm. The only regret was that they didn't manage to kill any of the flying mounts. What about the Xia family's losses? Wang Sheng wasn't afraid of offending the Xia family and asked directly. The third elder's face turned sullen, but he still heaved a sigh of relief and answered slowly. The Xia family's losses were greater than the Shangyue kingdom's. After all, the Shangyue kingdom used their flying mounts to launch sneak attacks. The Xia family lost more than 50 legendary realm experts and 700 to 800 ordinary experts. Their losses were 3 to 4 times that of the Shangyue kingdom. In addition, they lost a city and thousands of civilians died. It could be said that the Xia kingdom was in a state of mourning. This should be about the same number. Wang Sheng didn't want to rub salt on the third elder's wound. He asked directly, Elder Xia, what's your purpose for coming here this time? The country has lost many experts, so we want to make use of the High Duke's concert this time to cultivate a group of experts. The third elder hurriedly stated his first purpose. I hope that the High Duke can be kind and allocate more tickets to the Xia family. That's easy, Wang Sheng smiled. The Xia family should greet the other families. I'm sure they will be happy to do so, right? Chapter 1032. Wang Sheng spoke casually, but third elder Xia smiled bitterly. If he could really coordinate with the other families, why would he need Wang Sheng's help? Wang Sheng's words made it clear that he didn't want to help. If Wang Sheng was in his position, third elder Xia would probably do the same. Why would Wang Sheng be willing to offend the other families and share the benefits with the Xia family when there were no benefits at all? The young man in front of him was famous for being greedy for money. There was no way he could get any benefits just by saying empty words. He didn't even have a window, let alone a door. We are willing to pay a sufficient price for this. Third elder Xia knew that Wang Sheng wouldn't let go of the eagle until he saw the rabbit. He also knew that it was impossible to ask Wang Sheng for mercy, but he still expressed his attitude. Willing to pay a price? Wang Sheng scanned third elder Xia from head to toe, a hint of a smile appearing at the corners of his eyes. I'm afraid the price will not be cheap. Wang Sheng wouldn't be courteous to the Xia family, who took the initiative to extend their necks. They dared to plot against him, and even tried to control Aki's brother through Aki. This was the price they had to pay. Duke, please instruct us. As long as we can do it, the Xia family will definitely do it, third elder Xia said to Wang Sheng with a smile. The Xia family really had no other choice. Hundreds of experts had died. If they didn't make use of the martial grandmaster's concert to replenish them, they might not even be able to defend the city, let alone launch a counterattack. The flying mounts of the Shangyue kingdom were a nightmare. Each of the 8 super clans will have 50 slots, Wang Sheng said slowly. If the royal family and the temple of Laojun are included, there will be 500 slots. The other small vassal states will add up to 200 slots. The remaining 200 slots will be given to the scattered forces like the Carefree City and the Godly Might Prison. The remaining 100 slots will be taken by the Xia family. Listening to Wang Sheng's calculations, Third Elder Xia quickly counted out the remaining numbers and then decisively completed them. Impossible. Wang Sheng sneered. It's good enough that I can give you half. If the Chiu family comes, what do you want me to say? The Chiu family situation was the same as the Xia families. However, the Chiu family was in a slightly better situation. They didn't have a direct border and didn't lose any cities. However, the number of people they lost might not be less than the Xia family. Since Third Elder Xia could come to them in advance, could the Chiu family not do the same? Wang Sheng didn't even bother to hide it. He directly said that it was the Chiu family. This was equivalent to telling Third Elder Xia that this time it was clear that they were going to earn a large sum of money from the Xia family and the Chiu family. Despite knowing this, Third Elder Xia still had to pinch his nose and accept it. Relatively speaking, Wang Sheng only wanted gold coins, which was much easier than getting the slots from the other clans. This was also the price that the Xia kingdom had long thought of. How much do you need to pay? You go and talk to Mei Er. Third Elder Xia wanted to say the price immediately. However, Wang Sheng directly waved his hand. I don't need to worry about such a small matter. Talk to Mei Er. When Third Elder Xia thought of negotiating with Mei Er, he felt a chill in his heart. The price that Mei Er offered would definitely be more than double that of Wang Sheng. If Wang Sheng was a profiteer who was obsessed with money, then Mei Er was probably squeezing oil from the bones. But Third Elder Xia still had to face this situation. The only thing that made him feel a little relieved was that the Chiu family would soon follow their footsteps. At least the Xia family didn't fight alone. On the way to becoming beggars, at least there was a companion. After saying this, Wang Sheng didn't stand on ceremony and was about to send the guests off with tea. Third Elder Xia hurriedly stopped him. What a joke. Asking for more tickets was just an appetizer. There was still something important to talk about. How could they be sent off? Duke, there is one more thing that I want to discuss with you. After stopping Wang Sheng from sending the guests off, Third Elder Xia didn't care about anything else and quickly revealed the real purpose of his visit. I heard that when you entered the core of the Place of Thousand Despair this time, you drew a complete map. Third Elder Xia pleaded in a slightly negotiating tone. I don't know if you could delay your attack for a while. The Xia family is willing to pay a high price for this first move. Hearing this, Wang Sheng's face suddenly turned cold. A murderous aura emanated from his body. He stared at Third Elder Xia. Third Elder Xia didn't know why for a long time. So, you've really succeeded in placing a spy around me, right? Wang Sheng smiled coldly as he spoke. His tone seemed to be filled with anger. I was wondering why Aki had been acting so strangely for some time. It was as if she was afraid of something. She didn't tell me even when I asked. So that's why. The Xia family's method of controlling people's hearts is admirable. Admirable. Hearing Wang Sheng's tone of voice, Third Elder Xia knew that they were in trouble. If it was anyone else, they wouldn't be happy to have their partner betray their top-secret information. If that was the case, the Xia family would be willing to offer up Aki's head for Wang Sheng to vent his anger at any time. However, based on Wang Sheng's words, it seemed that he wanted to protect Aki. He hated the Xia family's method of controlling Aki. Third Elder Xia immediately felt a headache coming on. This is going to be troublesome. You want the first move? Sure. Wang Sheng smiled coldly. We can negotiate. First, bring Ah Qi back to me in one piece, then bring the heads of the entire family of the elder who came up with this idea to me. I believe that this wasn't the idea of just one elder. There had to be at least 3 people who agreed. I don't want much. Send me 300 heads that are well-known outside, and we can continue the negotiation. I will leave the map for you for a month and wait for you to make a decision. Bitter. The third elder of the Xia clan felt a chill in his heart. Wang Sheng was really angry. If the Xia family really agreed to this condition, why did they still need the quota for the concert? How could the Xia family survive if they had 300 heads that were well known outside? However, Wang Sheng could not be blamed for being angry. It was obvious that Aki had leaked the information. There were no more than 5 people who knew about it. Aki was the only one outside. Besides, who else could be related to the Xia family other than Aki? Duke, we were indeed in the wrong in this matter, the Duke said. Third Elder Xia's tone also became submissive. But Duke, your condition is a little too much. So this is my fault? Wang Sheng still smiled coldly. It seems that I have to apologize to Elder Xia. Duke, please calm down. Please calm down. Hearing Wang Sheng's words, Third Elder Xia stood up and bowed. He was about to cry, Duke, please don't be angry. Please don't be angry. Please don't be angry. Third Elder Xia tried his best to flatter Wang Sheng. At the same time, he cursed some people in the family in his heart. They came up with a bad idea, but they wanted him to face Wang Sheng directly. When did the dignified Third Elder Xia have to be so submissive? But on the other hand, if Aki had not been controlled, how could the Xia family have gotten this top-secret information? Now, he could only see how to extinguish Wang Sheng's anger. Chapter 1033. How could it be possible to kill the 3 elders and the whole Xia family according to Wang Sheng's request? No matter how stupid the family head of the Xia family was, he couldn't do such a self-destructive thing. Third elder of the Xia family knew this, so did Wang Sheng. Even third elder of the Xia family knew that Wang Sheng knew it. Therefore, in the end, the essence of this matter was to ask for a sky-high price. Wang Sheng showed this attitude to let the Xia family know that he was very dissatisfied with Aki being controlled. However, it should be impossible for the Xia family to let go of the pressure. To be able to obtain top-secret information from Lil 7, even Wang Sheng would not give up on this information channel. The only one who felt uncomfortable was Aki and third elder of the Xia family, who was responsible for bearing the anger of Wang Sheng. No one dares to touch Madam 7. She is fine in Carefree City and won't suffer any grievances. Third elder of the Xia family smiled like a servant and solved the first request first. This was the truth. The Xia family couldn't wait to protect Aki now. How could they let her be bullied and wronged? No one dared to enter the inner city of Carefree City to attack Aki. Even if there was, the Xia family would definitely solve any trouble for Aki in advance, as long as she could be accepted by Wang Sheng. The Xia family had no doubt about this. What a joke. If it weren't for Wang Sheng who asked Aki to pass the information to them, the family head of the Xia family would bet his life. How could Wang Sheng be so at ease and trust an assassin who had killed him in the past and whose comrade had died by his hand? She could be used as a plaything in normal times and as a channel for transmitting information when necessary. This should be the position of Aki in Wang Sheng's mind. It couldn't be more ridiculous. Everyone was a schemer who didn't know each other. Controlling the 7th madam is impossible. Then, third elder Xia began to deny it. Anyway, Wang Sheng had no evidence, and Aki could not produce it. They insisted that there was no such thing. What else could Wang Sheng do? Should he search the Xia family for evidence? This must be because the 7th madam is concerned about her old friend, so she kindly informed us. China is extremely grateful. As expected, third elder Xia did not hesitate to put the blame on Aki. If Wang Sheng had not taken the initiative to ask Aki about the whole story and directly question Aki about it, Aki would have to grit her teeth and admit it. She didn't have any evidence, and she didn't dare to tell Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng's attitude towards such an excuse was very obvious. He did not believe it all. Just like how third elder Xia evaluated Aki's position in Wang Sheng's heart, everyone knew who she was. Was Wang Sheng a fool? But even if both sides knew each other, they could only pretend not to know each other and pretend to test each other before they did not intend to completely fall out with each other. It was a game, and that was the rule. In the following process, third elder Xia pretended to be a grandson, and Wang Sheng acted like a big boss. Everyone acted very conscientiously and put the attitudes of both sides on the table to confront each other. Finally, they reached a preliminary result. This matter could be discussed. However, the Xia family had to pay the price. even if they insisted that it was Aki who took the initiative to tell them. Wang Sheng insisted. The final agreement was that the Xia family would give Aki 10 million gold coins as compensation for giving them the information. The Xia family would choose a day to send it to Carefree City and give it to Aki. Since they could talk, Third Elder Xia began to ask Wang Sheng's opinion carefully. The Xia family was willing to pay the price. What price would Wang Sheng agree to? You could talk to Mei about such a small matter. Wang Sheng waved his hand and directly pushed the responsibility to Mei, as if it was really a trivial matter and he did not need to do anything. Third Elder Xia complained his heart, but he had to pinch his nose and accept it. At least Wang Sheng agreed, which was much better than a direct refusal. It was nothing more than the price that they had calculated before. They might have to pay more, but compared to the secret of the inner core of the ground of despair, worldly possessions were nothing. Because of that secret, the Xia family, the Gan family, and the Feng family had been suppressed by the Tang, Song, Dai, Shi, and Xiu families 500 years ago, but the three families had never given up. Now, they had a chance to be one step ahead. If they did not do so, should they wait for the masters of the 8 families to enter together? 3 months. Wang Sheng raised his hand and stretched out 3 fingers side by side. He said slowly, "I will give you 3 months. After the negotiation, the things will be sent to the capital. 3 months later, I will sell the map of the core of the ground of despair in the capital." How can 3 months be enough? Third Elder Xia began to complain instinctively. He recounted the various difficulties that the Xia family was facing, as well as the difficulties of exploring the core of the ground of despair. His eloquent performance was enough to make anyone who heard it cry. It was no wonder that Third Elder Xia was the Xia family's envoy in the capital. His ability was superb. Finally, after a series of complaints, Wang Sheng's tone softened a little. Third Elder Xia had just heaved a sigh of relief when he heard something that made his heart jump. You could talk to Mei about how long it will take. Don't bother me with such trivial matters. Third Elder Xia had previously thought that the price would exceed the original plan. At this moment, he decisively took advantage of it. At this point, Third Elder Xia could not help but sigh. The combination of Wang Sheng and Mei was simply a perfect match. When the 2 swords worked together, they were invincible. It was no wonder that a small item could be sold at a sky-high price. This adulterous couple was absolutely at the level of a great master in business. If there were truly great masters in business, the adulterous couple, Wang Sheng and Mei, would definitely be tied for first place. No matter how many people there were in the future, they would all start from the 3rd place. Zhu Xingxing, Bao Qin Yutang, must have been an idiot to have made the decision to let Zhu Xiaodong take over Bao Qin Yutang's business and exclude Mei. If it had not been for that incident, the Qian Sheng Yuan Run Z Workshop, Dream Workshop, and Yin Workshop would probably have been Bao Qin Yutang's possessions. Seeing that it was impossible to change Wang Sheng's decision, Third Elder Xia decided to bid farewell to Wang Sheng and look for Mei to discuss the matter. The longer this matter was delayed, the more insecure it would be. The only thing that was trustworthy was Wang Sheng's reputation. As long as he agreed on something, he would never change it. The Gan family and the Shi family had only seized the opportunity to enter the core of the land of Thousand Despair. After that, there was no news of Wang Sheng bringing anyone else in. How ironic was that? The most trustworthy person was a future enemy. I brought Aki and the old ancestor out of the land of Yushan safely. At that time, all the experts who followed us into the land of Yushan died in there. Just as Third Elder Xia was about to speak, Wang Xing interrupted him and asked with a smile, "Elder Xia, do you want to know the secret behind this?" Hearing this, Third Elder Xia's vision darkened. He was afraid that he would have to pay a large sum of money again. Chapter 1034. Was the secret of being able to safely leave the Shanyue land worth a fortune? Obviously it was. Of course it was worth it. If they could grasp this secret, the experts of the Xia family could easily enter the Shanyue land and wreak havoc in the rear of the Shanyue kingdom. Now, the Xia family and the Qiu family were in a dilemma. The Shangyue kingdom had flying mounts, so they could easily slaughter in their territory. However, once their experts entered the Shangyue land, they would be discovered and besieged. There had never been an exception. No matter how powerful an expert was, under the siege of experts of the same level who outnumbered him by several times, how could he be lucky enough to survive? This was the outcome of being discovered in advance. Once they grasped this secret, the confrontation between the Xia family and the Qiu family and the Shangyue kingdom would no longer be one-sided. Instead, it would be a stalemate. This stalemate was completely different from the current stalemate. It was a qualitative change. In the past, I could only defend passively. You could hit me, but I couldn't hit you. Now, you could hit me, and I could hit you. If they fought again, it would be a true competition of foundation. In this aspect, the Xia family and the Qiu family were confident that they could compete with a chain store. How could hundreds of years of accumulation be that simple? If Wang Sheng was given 500 years of accumulation or even 50 years of normal development, Wang Sheng could definitely become a super tyrant like the 8 big families. Now that the opportunity was in front of the third elder of the Xia family, was it a problem to buy it or not? Duke, what else do you want to sell to us? Can you sell it all at once? The third elder of the Xia family was about to cry. He clutched his chest and complained to Wang Sheng, "I'm old and my heart isn't good. I can't take this blunt knife cutting my flesh. Duke, please do me a favor and give me a quick death." Old Xia. Wang Sheng almost held back his laughter as he stood up. He walked up to third elder Xia, patted him on the shoulder, and said with a smile, "If you don't like it, I'll let Mare go about her business. I won't cut your flesh, all right?" No. Being patted on the shoulder by Wang Sheng, a young man who was at least twice his age, third elder Xia did not feel that it was inappropriate at all. Wang Sheng was Duke Changsheng, which was at the same level as Duke Xia. There was no such thing as offending one's superior. However, Wang Sheng's words shocked third elder Xia. He hurriedly denied it. "Duke, I'm just joking. Just kidding." "Are you kidding me? Not buying?" What was the point of not buying third elder Xia's performance for such a long time? The third elder of the Xia country's elder council was here to perform crosstalk with Wang Sheng. "Don't give me that look." Wang Sheng smiled as he pointed at elder Xia. His face was filled with a bitter smile as he scolded jokingly, "You've made a huge profit. Some people wanted to buy it, but I didn't give them the chance. Do you believe me?" "I do. Of course." How could third elder Xia not believe him? Wang Sheng had asked Aki to leak the information to the Xia family, so that the Xia family would take the initiative to come to him. As long as Wang Sheng Sui mentioned the complete map of the core region of the grounds of Thousand Despair, who wouldn't rush to buy it at a high price? If Aki had not put in a good word for you, do you think you would have such a chance? Wang Sheng snorted coldly. "Don't think that you are the only buyer of the goods in my hands. Other families will not buy it. If you say such words to me again, I will nullify our previous agreement. It was my slip of the tongue. I have offended you, Duke. I will slap myself. Please calm down, Duke." Third elder Xia was very adaptable. As he apologized, he slapped his own mouth. It was a solid slap. Half of his face turned red. As for the seventh madam, other than the 10 million gold coins, the Xia family has something else to offer. The extra tickets for the concert, the complete map of the grounds of despair, the way to enter the mountain range without being discovered. Any one of them will be enough to make all the families rush to fight for it. Wang Sheng did not have to worry about not being able to sell it. This was a publicly acknowledged fact. Third elder Xia also realized that Aki had played a big role in this. Otherwise, the advantage of obtaining the core map of the lands of Thousand Despair would not have fallen into their hands. Everyone would be willing to use their utmost sincerity to purchase this advantage from Wang Sheng. Just now, he had merely wanted to use the tactic of injuring himself to gain confidence, but Wang Sheng had seen through him. After a round of beating, third elder Xia had no choice but to lower his voice and apologize. He was almost servile, but it was all worth it. Wang Sheng's credibility in business was well known. As long as Wang Sheng nodded, the Xia family would definitely be able to obtain the first opportunity. As for how long they would be able to obtain the first opportunity, It would depend on the price the Xia family was willing to pay. Duke, Great Elder will come to the capital tomorrow. Seeing that Wang Sheng's expression had returned to normal, Third Elder Xia hurriedly reported, "Please excuse me, Duke and Madame Mayer. Great Elder and I will come to the Duke's residence tomorrow morning for a discussion." "All right," Wang Sheng nodded. Then he suddenly smiled and said, "If Elder Xia feels the pinch, after you're done negotiating, you can leak the information about the safe way to enter and exit the Yu land to the Qiu clan. You can also tell them your base price." Of course, of course. Third Elder Xia immediately understood what Wang Sheng meant. He was asking the Xia family to help him, telling the Qiu family the bottom price. Wouldn't the bottom price be decided by the Xia family? In any case, seeing that the Qiu family was even more unlucky than the Xia family, it was exactly what the Xia family wanted. This kind of suffering could not be only suffered by the Xia family. Everyone would be happy if they shared it. Let me say this first. The method is very simple. Don't feel like you've lost out after knowing the method. Wang Sheng warned Third Elder Xia again. No matter how simple the method is, it is a life-saving method. It is worth it to use some gold to buy the life of one of our family's disciples. That's only natural. Having just been taught a lesson by Wang Sheng, how could Third Elder Xia make the same mistake again? Even if the method was so simple that it made people's hair stand on end, it was still a life-saving method. It was just like the method that Wang Sheng sold to prevent snow blindness. How simple was it? But it was practical. By the way, Duke, I have another question. Third Elder Xia suddenly thought of something. He hurriedly asked while Wang Sheng was in a good mood. In the core of the Mountain of Despair, Duke, let a large number of man-eating ants patrol. When that time comes, this is a standard. Wang Sheng answered without hesitation, "I didn't seal it all. If your cultivation is not high enough, you can't discover the man-eating ants in advance. If you can't avoid the patrolling experts of the man-eating ants, don't go in. You will die if you go in. Believe me, the monsters inside are much more ferocious than the man-eating ants. If you're not qualified to go in, don't go in and die. This is for your own good." Third Elder Xia thought for a while and nodded. Without saying anything more, he stood up and left. He was waiting to be slaughtered by May Air together with the Great Elder tomorrow. Chapter 1035. Wang Sheng's words made a lot of sense. The man-eating ants did not seal off the entire core of the Land of Despair. Instead, they patrolled along the perimeter. As long as one's cultivation was high enough, he or she would be able to detect the movement of the man-eating ants in advance and avoid them. Then, they would enter the core of the Land of Despair. If one could not do this, it would be as Wang Sheng had said. Going would mean death. It would be better not to go in. In other words, Wang Sheng did not have the selfish intention of sealing off the core of the Land of Despair. Instead, he wanted all parties to take the initiative to eliminate those whose cultivation was not high enough. It was just that Wang Sheng did not say it out loud. Now that they knew Wang Sheng's intention, and the Xia family wanted to buy the opportunity to enter the core of the Land of Despair from Wang Sheng, Third Elder Xia knew how to please Wang Sheng. Since Wang Sheng's good deeds were not well known and were misunderstood, the Xia family would definitely take the initiative to publicize it and make Wang Sheng famous. It was a small thing that did not cost much, but could greatly please Wang Sheng and Madame Mayer. Why not? Wang Sheng did not mind such small thing. The man-eating ants patrolling the border of the Land of Despair also had the same intention. However, Wang Sheng was not so kind. He only wanted to delay the other parties from entering the core of the Land of Despair. Of course, he had to speak in a dignified manner. He could not reveal what he was thinking in private. Wang Sheng pushed the matter to the more professional Mayer. He completely believed that the Xia family must have sacrificed a lot this time. He believed that in the near future, the Qiu family would follow closely behind. The two families would fight side by side against the Shanyu kingdom. Now that he was free, Wang Sheng continued to study the killing techniques of the military. He guessed that the Grand Abbey Dean and the old Taoist Ling Su were trying to figure out what the so-called military was. Military killing techniques and Tai Chi were two completely different combat methods, but the cultivation methods were actually the same. The ancestors had long said that words and fists should not leave one's hands. No matter what it was, there was only one way to become profound, and that was to invest time and energy. Just as Wang Sheng had said to old Tai, there were no shortcuts. Just as he was thinking about old iron appeared. It was normal for the great grandmasters of the Pavilion of Delicacy, who were familiar with Wang Sheng, to go in and out of Duke Chongqing's mansion. As long as they didn't enter the backyard, they could do whatever they wanted. Old Tai had specially come to look for Wang Sheng in order to get an answer from Wang Sheng. Someone wants to buy a heavy sniper crossbow. Wang Sheng's face was full of disbelief as he asked Old Tai in disbelief, "Old Tai, are you sure?" Chiu family. Without any hesitation, Elder Tai told Wang Sheng about the buyer. He wants to buy a few heavy sniper crossbows to deal with the flying mounts of Shanyue Kingdom. That's the right approach. Wang Sheng nodded, but he immediately had a new question. Are you sure that someone in the Chiu family has the strength to shoot a crossbow? Wang Sheng's heavy sniper crossbow was very powerful and could take the life of a legend realm expert from 10 miles away. This was not a rumor, but a fact that had been proven by the head of the Dai family's great elder. Of course, it was not a problem to deal with flying mounts. Wang Sheng had once killed one in the Shanyue land with one arrow, causing the Shanyue Kingdom to lose 5 experts on mounts. That was why Wang Sheng said that the approach was not wrong. But the problem was that the strength of the heavy sniper crossbow was very great. Drawing the bow required more than 200,000 pounds of strength. Even if Wang Sheng had designed a lever to the bowstring, it would still require tens of thousands of pounds of strength. Wang Sheng had gone through the Taowu transformation, so he had infinite strength, but Wang Sheng did not believe that there was anyone in this world who could compete with him in strength, even if the other party's source spirit was the Herculean Ape King. With such a strong person, would the Chiu family still need to be plagued by flying mounts? If one person can't do it, then 2 people. If 2 people can't do it, then 4 people. With more people, we can always draw the bowstring. Old Tai replied with a smile. It's nothing more than a single shot after drawing the bowstring. This was also a method. Actually, with the help of machines and animals, it was possible to just draw the bowstring once. However, Wang Sheng had another problem. How far did they want to shoot the flying mounts? Wang Sheng asked in a serious tone, 10 miles? Or 5 miles? Old Tai, are you sure they can see the flying mounts from 5 miles away and accurately aim at them? Without Wang Sheng's scope, Wang Sheng's heavy sniper crossbow was just a close-range weapon. Not to mention 5 miles, being able to accurately shoot 3 miles away was already a testament to Wang Sheng's superhuman eyesight. In this world, could there be someone more powerful than the enhanced eyesight of the Taowu transformation? Perhaps those source spirits were eagles or eagles. However, Wang Sheng firmly believed that no matter how strong they were, they wouldn't be stronger than him. It's not that ridiculous. Old Tai smiled as he shook his head. He was well aware of the limitations of the heavy sniper crossbow. Just like Wang Sheng said, if they wanted to hit a target 10 miles away, they had to be able to see 10 miles away. However, he knew what the Chiu family was thinking. He calmly replied, when the flying mounts come, they are silent and hard to defend against. However, when they fly away, if they can sneak up on them, perhaps a few more people will be left behind. At most, it's less than a mile away. God archers shouldn't be a problem. Aren't there any god archers among the experts? Wang Sheng was stunned. Wasn't the Chiu family a bit too disappointing? God archers generally don't have high cultivation bases, and their source spirits aren't very high level. Old Tai knew that Wang Sheng didn't know much about god archers. He smiled as he explained to Wang Sheng, experts don't use arrows, so they want to buy the heavy sniper crossbow to deal with the flying mounts. Being bullied to such an extent, experts still didn't want to learn god archery. With an 8th or 9th stage realm expert's ability, this wasn't something difficult to achieve. However, they didn't want to do it and insisted on letting low-level god archers use the heavy sniper crossbow to attack. Wang Sheng didn't know how to evaluate these so-called experts. From the power and accuracy, they deduced that it's exquisite pavilion's doing and looked for pavilion master. Old Tai didn't hide the ins and outs of the matter as he explained to Wang Sheng. So Pavilion Master discussed with me and asked me to seek Duke's opinion. If Duke is willing to sell, then we'll split the price with Duke. If Duke isn't willing to sell, then we'll push the Chiu family. Does Exquisite Pavilion have a lot of that crossbow arms metal stock? Wang Sheng asked curiously. Not much. At most, we can make 2 more, but it might not be enough. Old Tai shook his head. How could that kind of high elasticity and strength metal be so easily obtained? Sell. Sell it to them. When Wang Sheng heard this, he agreed without any hesitation. They dared to buy. Why shouldn't we sell? That year these two, one was worth 50 million gold coins, and that was for my own use, so there wasn't much profit. They want to buy 1 heavy sniper crossbow for 100 million gold coins. Let's see how much they're willing to buy. We'll compensate them to death. Chapter 1036. It was true that they wanted to deal with flying mounts, but they also wanted to use this opportunity to figure out Wang Sheng's trump card. The Chiu family had a good plan. They wanted to use this method of stealing the beam and replacing the pillar to lay out the layout in advance. I would like to see just how rich the Chiu family is. To think that they would spend 200 million gold coins to buy 2 heavy sniper crossbows just to wait for a flying mount to arrive. Wang Sheng smiled. Why wouldn't they sell such a profitable deal? Sell it. It's a real deal. Put down half of the gold as a deposit. Once the deposit arrives, we'll give it to them. We'll split the gold evenly. Aren't you afraid that they'll use the heavy sniper crossbows to deal with you? Old Tai seemed to have guessed Wang Sheng's attitude and asked Wang Sheng. Yes, Wang Sheng said honestly, not hiding his fear at all. But since they can only attack within half a kilometer, why use such a long-range weapon? As long as there are 2 or 3 legendary experts within 500 meters, they can definitely kill me. Spending 200 million gold coins on such a flashy but impractical weapon, isn't that too much of a waste? Flashy. Old Tai shook his head with a bitter smile. Aren't you using a heavy sniper crossbow yourself? It's not the same. Wang Sheng laughed. It depends on who's holding it. I can accurately kill experts within 5 kilometers, but they can only kill flying mounts within half a kilometer. They might not even succeed. There was one thing that Old Tai and the others hadn't thought of, the production of rifling. When Wang Sheng made the heavy sniper crossbow, he had referenced the M200's rifling distance and degree. Old Tai and the others didn't know the theory behind these things. They used clay to take a model of the M200's barrel to make tools. After making the heavy sniper crossbow, the tools were destroyed and melted down. Where would they get the precise rifling distance and degree? Without a large-scale computer and precise calculations, the rifling of a heavy sniper crossbow would be greatly reduced in both range and power. Another point was that the heavy sniper crossbow couldn't be used immediately. Even on Earth, the quality of a sniper rifle would be top-notch, but it would still require a calibration process. It would be impossible to use it immediately. Without Wang Sheng's scope, the heavy sniper crossbow could only be manually calibrated by a sharpshooter. Compared to Wang Sheng's accuracy, it was several orders of magnitude worse. To put it bluntly, this kind of thing could at most be used by sharpshooters within a few hundred meters. Its power was not even as good as its range, and it could only be fired once. If this wasn't flashy, then what was? Therefore, Wang Sheng wasn't worried at all that they could do with the heavy sniper crossbow. If the Chiu family was willing to spend 200 million gold coins to buy a heavy sniper crossbow without his involvement, Wang Sheng would gladly welcome it with both hands. Who wouldn't be happy to receive 100 million gold coins for no reason? All right, then I'll tell the pavilion master this. Seeing Wang Sheng say this, Old Tai didn't insist. After all, he was just a messenger, and there was no need for him to say too much. Just as he was about to leave, Wang Sheng asked Old Tai, if I want to increase the stability of my attacks, what's the best way to temper it? After practicing military killing techniques and adding in the use of spiritual qi, Wang Sheng realized that he still couldn't completely control it. Sometimes it was easy to go overboard with too much strength. Therefore, he wanted to seek some inspiration from the Linglong Pavilion's grandmasters. Every martial grandmaster had a unique skill, and they definitely needed to be stable. Stability? Old Tai thought about it and replied seriously. There are some blacksmiths who do fine work, and you can train them. However, apart from swinging a sledgehammer, you've never done anything else. Why don't you ask Old Man Lu and see if he has any good methods? Wang Xing thought about it and realized that Old Man Lu was right. He actually knew nothing about smithing and could only swing a sledgehammer with great strength. However, Wang Sheng had learned a little about carving, so he could probably ask Master Lu for guidance. After returning to the heavenly workshop with Old Tai and parting ways with him, Wang Sheng went to look for Master Lu right away. Wang Sheng was very familiar with Master Lu's courtyard, so he went there on his own without needing anyone to guide him. Why are you here so rarely today? Master Lu was not working. He was holding a rock and studying it. When he saw Wang Sheng, he immediately smiled and asked Wang Sheng, I've been back for a few days, so I wanted to come and see you. Wang Sheng smiled as he put down the wine and meat he was carrying in his hand. Then he picked up a stone block and placed it beside Master Lu. He told him the reason for his visit. It just so happens that I have some questions to ask the old master, so I came over. Oh, what questions did you encounter? Master Lu put down the stone in his hand and asked Wang Sheng with a smile. Wang Sheng asked Master Lu the same question he asked Old Man Tai and repeated Old Man Tai's words. Then he waited for Master Lu's answer. Stability. Master Lu nodded. Old Man Tai is right. Craftsmen like us all have some delicate tasks, so we definitely need stability. You've only learned how to carve before, so I guess you'll have to learn how to carve if you want to be more delicate. Why don't you try carving some simple things first? I'll teach you the basic techniques, and you can practice slowly. When you can carve some delicate carvings, or even miniature carvings, you'll be able to practice them naturally. Wang Sheng agreed with Master Lu's words. If he were to rely solely on practicing military killing techniques, there would inevitably be times when he would get bored. Therefore, Wang Sheng needed a method that could achieve the same effect but give him a sense of freshness. Just like some track and field athletes, they would also take up swimming or other events to train themselves. Cultivation should be a joyful thing. The more one cultivated, the happier one would feel, which meant that one had found the right direction. If the more one cultivated, the more boring one became, there must be a problem with one's direction. Boring cultivation was not necessarily efficient cultivation. Wang Sheng would not make such a mistake. Based on your comprehension, you should be able to learn these basic techniques in no time. Master Lu was aware of Wang Sheng's talent in carving, so he was not stingy with his compliments. Come, learn some basic carving techniques for me. You can practice them slowly when you get back. Wang Sheng stayed with Master Lu for almost the entire day and practiced the basic carving techniques with him. Most of the time, carving and carving were interchangeable, so it was not difficult for Wang Sheng to master them. It only took Wang Sheng half a day to learn the basic techniques. When you can come up with a piece that requires your full concentration and your hands to be steady, I believe the stability of your hands will greatly improve, Master Lu taught Wang Sheng confidently. Master Lu quite approved of Wang Sheng's ability to find breakthroughs in other directions instead of sticking to cultivation. Perhaps he would need a similar method to find inspiration to achieve breakthroughs at the peak of his skills. Chapter 1037. The internal performance would be held in 2 days, so the old Taoist Ling Su rushed to the Duke's residence the next day. When the old Taoist arrived, the great elder and the third elder of the Xia family came to Wang Sheng's residence together to negotiate with Mayer. Mayer only had time to greet the old Taoist in a hurry before she started a war of words with the 2 elders of the Xia family in the guest hall, accompanied by a few shopkeepers. Wang Sheng and the old Taoist entered the training room. As soon as they entered the training room, the old Taoist closed the door and asked Wang Sheng, "Why does it seem like there's been a change in your cultivation?" "I've been cultivating the military killing technique." Wang Sheng had nothing to hide from the old Taoist, so he answered straightforwardly, "It's indeed extraordinary." In the eyes of others, Wang Sheng was the same as always. Only Mayer, Rosa, The music grandmasters and the dozen or so Taoist priests of the Qing generation had noticed Wang Sheng's abnormality that day. Later on, Wang Sheng recovered, and no one noticed any changes. However, in the eyes of the old Taoist Ling Su, Wang Sheng had become extremely sharp in just 2 to 3 days. Others might not be able to see the sharpness hidden under Wang Sheng's calmness, but the old Taoist could sense it clearly. Yes, it's still a little too obvious. The old Taoist nodded and commented, "When you can completely erase this sharpness, you'll probably be able to advance." How could Wang Sheng not agree to the guidance of a super expert? As soon as he nodded, the old Taoist asked Wang Sheng about the meaning of the half-carved stone in the training room. Wang Sheng did not hide it. He told him about how he wanted to practice his stability in other ways, as well as what Old Man Tai and Master Lu had said. Learning by analogy, that's great. The old Taoist Ling Su agreed with this method. Although this old Taoist had never practiced martial arts in this way, in terms of cultivation realm, this old Taoist had also used similar methods. For example, the old Taoist priest did not chant scriptures or do homework every day. Instead, he chose to calmly copy the books in the Sutra Pavilion every 50 years or live in seclusion in a small village, teaching children how to write, and so on. After he got to know Wang Sheng, he even did some very deviant things, such as drinking alcohol and eating meat. These were all the same principles. From another perspective, the old Taoist was also integrating his life into cultivation. It was just that he had not done it thoroughly enough. These great grandmasters, those fellows outside, look down on their status. In fact, they're the true experts who have integrated their lives into their cultivation. Old Taoist Ling Su sighed and said, "On this point, I am inferior to them." The old Taoist had only truly understood many things after experiencing the aura of the golden hairpin. He had not done enough in this aspect, but these great grandmasters had used their lifetime experiences to tell the old Taoist that this was how they lived their lives. Wang Sheng was also amazed. It was no wonder these great grandmasters' cultivation was top-notch. It would be difficult for their cultivation to be low if they could reach such a cultivation realm unknowingly. Wang Sheng had also told the old Taoist why the 2 elders of the Xia family had come. The old Taoist did not care about what these vassal states were doing. In any case, Wang Sheng had always sold things at an extremely expensive price. They were willing to accept it as long as they were willing to do it. However, you know so many things, so you don't have to stick to the method of carving. The old Taoist was still willing to talk to Wang Sheng about cultivation. For example, you can write big and small characters, write fast, and write slowly. These can all be trained. Also, you can cook. You don't have to cook, but it's not bad to practice your knife skills. Practicing with the flesh and bones of monsters will give you a better feel. An expert was indeed an expert. Wang Sheng himself had not been able to completely understand these things for a long time. The old Taoist had come in and said a few words, and he had even given Wang Sheng more options. This made Wang Sheng suddenly see the light. "I'm being a little stubborn." Wang Sheng smiled and analyzed himself. "Old Taoist, you're right. I could do a lot of things. I don't have to stick to a certain form at all." The 2 of them drank and chatted happily. The old Taoist also told Wang Sheng about the contents of the scroll that he had gone through and brought back. The old Taoist would focus on the parts that he was interested in. While they were chatting happily, it was a different scene in the guest hall. Mayer sat calmly on the fishing platform, drinking tea leisurely. The 2 elders of the Xia family, on the other hand, were full of anger. They stared at Mayer as if they were staring at an enemy. They had no choice. The price that Mayer offered was more than 10 times the price that the Xia family had set themselves. How could the Xia family agree? However, Mayer refused to budge. "Take it or leave it. It's not like there's no one else who wants it in her hands. Since you want to have the upper hand and additional benefits, then you have to lower your head obediently." Both parties were in a deadlock. Mayer refused to budge, but the Xia family insisted on negotiating. The battle of words was incisive. An entire morning had passed, and not one of the 3 deals had been settled. The 2 elders didn't dare to fall out with each other, but the aura that erupted from their bodies made one feel terrified. Luckily, After Mayer advanced to the 7th degree realm, she had a charm halo. That aura didn't make Mayer feel oppressed, but it was still quite uncomfortable. Duke, the Xia family won't agree to Madame's price no matter what. They kept pestering Madame after she died, and kept releasing their aura to threaten her. What should we do? When Rosa sent lunch to Wang Sheng and the old Taoist, she talked about the previous negotiations and asked Wang Sheng about it. There's no hurry. Wang Sheng kept his composure. They only dare to do this. They won't dare to be impudent anymore. If they dared to threaten when they came to ask for help, then the two elders of the Xia family would probably have their brains kicked by a donkey. They were just putting on a false bravado. Even if they were given 10,000 guts, they wouldn't dare to do anything to Mayer. On the contrary, this kind of opportunity was a good training for Mayer. Seeing that Rosa was still a little nervous, Wang Sheng thought for a moment and instructed Rosa, bring the batch of old jewelry that the old Lord Temple sent over. Those were the jewelry that was retrieved from the inner circle of the Thousand Despairs core. Rosa quickly brought a few storage rings from the storeroom and passed them over to Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng directly threw 2 storage rings to the old Taoist and began to search inside. Old Taoist, look for those that are from an obvious era. Take a few out. Very soon, the old Taoist and Wang Sheng picked out a few pieces. At first glance, it was obvious that they weren't modern jewelry. They looked very old. Wang Sheng pointed at the jewelry and said to Rosa, wear these jewelry and be more conspicuous. Go in and accompany May. Without saying anything, Rosa immediately put them on and flew straight to the guest hall. Wang Sheng looked at Rosa's back as she left and smiled at the old Taoist. I wonder if the two elders of the Xia family know their stuff or not. Chapter 1038. Rosa entered the guest hall with a few cups of new tea. She politely changed the cold tea for the 2 guests and another cup for Mayer. After taking the old cup out, she returned to the guest hall and sat behind Mayer. Previously, Rose had been sitting here, and she had been the one to serve them a few times, so everyone was used to it. No one spoke now. They were waiting for the other to give in first. Even when Rosa brought new hot tea, no one touched it. They were testing each other's patience. After sitting for a while, Rosa turned her head. There was a jingle on her head. 2 pearls and jadeite pendants touched each other. This sound immediately attracted everyone's attention. May turned her head and looked at the place where the sound came from. She immediately recognized the jewelry on Rosa's head. She glanced around and saw all the different jewelry on Rosa's body. In an instant, Mayer had an idea. She looked up at the 2 elders of the Xia family. Their eyes seemed to flash on Rosa's head. They didn't stop, as if they didn't notice. Elders, it's time for lunch. Our mansion is simple and crude, so we prepared a small banquet. I hope the 2 elders will come. Mayer warmly invited the 2 elders of the Xia family. Please continue to discuss. We'll talk after lunch. It was not a solution to be in a stalemate. The 2 elders also consciously wanted to relax the rhythm. Hearing Mayer's words, the 2 elders nodded and stood up. Thank you, madam. A maid led them to lunch. Mayer and Rosa definitely went straight to the back hall. This was Changsheng Duke's mansion. The elders of the Xia family were guests from afar. The host should accompany them. However, Mayer had said that she wanted them to discuss. She must arrange for them alone. The 2 elders of the Xia family had just walked out of the guest hall when they suddenly heard Mayer's whisper. Rosa, remember to find someone who can identify weapons from 500 years ago. The Duke said that we should sell the latest batch of weapons as soon as possible. Mayer's voice was sharp. It sounded like she was ordering her own shopkeeper. Yes, madam. Rosa cooperated and answered. Then she asked, what about the jewelry we brought back? I only wore a few pieces. They're different from what we have now. Should we find someone to identify them and sell them? Forget it. Leave the jewelry. Mayer and Rosa's voices were getting further and further away. The 2 doyens could still hear Mayer's voice. The Duke said to leave the jewelry for the sisters. Wear whichever one you like first. Another day, send them to the prince's mansion for them to choose. The voices of the 2 women gradually faded away. The 2 elders of the Xia family looked at each other and saw the confusion in each other's eyes. What kind of weapon would require an appraiser who could appraise weapons from 500 years ago? The Duke's mansion was very thoughtful. The two elders and their attendants were arranged to have their meals in a separate courtyard. After a hasty meal, the great elder ordered the attendants to guard the surroundings. Then, he told the third elder about his doubts. The third elder was also confused. The time period of 500 years ago was too sensitive. It was clearly the period when the Lin family was destroyed. At the same time, it was also the period when the Lands of Thousand Despair was formed. Apart from the Grounds of Despair, where else could the weapons and accessories from 500 years ago be found? Duke Changsheng just came out of the core of the place of Thousand Despair not long ago. The third elder frowned and analyzed. Could it be that he was brought out from there? If that was the case, then it would be a big deal. Why did the Xia family want to be the first to explore the entire core of the place of Thousand Despair? Wasn't it because they wanted to be the first to find something that no one else could? If Wang Sheng had already found something, then it would not be good news for the Xia family. It would be the same for the other vassal states. Fortunately, they only heard about the weapons and accessories and nothing else. In other words, the most precious item Wang Sheng had not found yet. This was an opportunity for the Xia family. Of course, it also meant that the Xia family had to make an important decision. If they really could not come to an agreement this time, and Wang Sheng ended up benefiting another family, the Xia family would not even have a place to cry. But what if everything was fake and the two of them had been deceived? Let's take a closer look later. The two of them did not have any good ideas at the moment. They could only take it one step at a time. However, the two of them came to an agreement. If they really did find something extraordinary, then they would grit their teeth and buy the first chance to explore the entire core of the place of Thousand Despair. Initially, they wanted to give up. However, on second thought, if they really bought the first chance, what if they didn't have enough experts? They would still have to buy additional tickets. What if the pressure from the Shanyue kingdom increased? They would still have to buy a way to enter the Shanyue kingdom without being surrounded. After thinking this through, the great elder and the third elder smiled bitterly. The items they wanted to buy were one and the same. How could they tell if they were important or not? When they returned to the guest hall, the two elders looked at Rose's head and body. Soon, they noticed something different. The great elder had read the family's secret manual. After taking a closer look at the accessories on Rose's head, he came to a conclusion. This was an antique from 500 years ago. Whether it was the style or the material, even the purity of the gold matched. The third elder also stared at it carefully for a long time. In the end, he turned his head and nodded at the great elder. There was no mistaking it. These accessories were definitely from the place of Thousand Despair. But where did they come from? In that instant, the shadows of the Gan and Shur families flashed across their minds. The Gan and Shur families had paid a huge price to gain the first chance to enter the core of the place of Thousand Despair. Perhaps these items had come from these two families. Madam, may I ask if the Shur family and the Gan family, who have entered the core region of the Lands of Thousand Despair, have seen this map of the Dukes? The Xia family's great elder asked Mei as if he had suddenly understood something. No, Mei shook her head. They were only in a relatively remote area. The High Duke has marked it out on the map. There are markings for this too? The two elders of the Xia family didn't expect such a pleasant surprise. They looked at each other and saw the ecstasy in each other's eyes. The fact that they knew what the two families had done in the place of Thousand Despair, and that they had only been in a remote area and hadn't obtained anything valuable was enough to make the two elders happy. Madam, the Xia family has decided to agree to your price. The great elder finally spoke up. He looked at Mei and said seriously, However, madam, you know that your price is not low. We will need some time to gather the money. Can you give us a month's time and allow us to exchange for other items? Chapter 1039. Okay. On this point, Mei could make the decision, but she immediately added, but if you use other things to exchange, you can only get a 10% discount. It's not equivalent. Why? Third elder's eyes widened. Wasn't this bullying? My duke specially ordered me to take care of the Xia family. Otherwise, I would give you a 40% discount. However, Mir completely ignored Third Elder Xia's widened eyes and directly stated her bottom line. You're going too far. Before First Elder said anything, Third Elder rushed to the front and slammed the table angrily. There had to be someone who wanted to be the bad guy. It was the good guy and the bad guy. The roles were different. Bullying? Mayer laughed coldly. Then I won't bear the reputation of being a bully. Your Xiao family will pay for everything with gold coins. Money and goods. Fair trade. How about it? Third Elder was a little weak after hearing Mayer's words. If they could pay with gold coins, only a fool would exchange the family's treasures for gold coins. Go out and ask around. If Xiao family wants to sell their treasures for gold coins, see who can give you a 40% discount. Mayer didn't give in. She hurriedly said to Third Elder, after leaving Changshan Duke's mansion, you need to sell your things to raise gold coins. Which businessman can give you a full discount? This was the truth. Two elders of the Xia family came together. This couldn't be hidden in the capital. As soon as they left, Xia family started to raise gold coins. Obviously, they wanted to buy something at a high price. At this time, only other vassal states could offer gold coins of this level. If you were in a hurry to sell, which vassal state wouldn't take advantage of the situation? The more urgent the Xia family was, the more difficult it was to sell their things at a high price. Not to mention Xia family, other families sold to Xia family. Xia family would also take advantage of the situation. Who asked you to be short of money? Third Elder wanted to refute, but he couldn't. If Mayer only accepted gold coins, Xia family would definitely pay at least 50% more. Just as Mayer had said, giving them a 10% discount was already Wang Sheng showing mercy and taking care of them. In that case, thank you for your kindness. The Great Elder jumped out to ease the atmosphere and agreed to Mayer's request for a 10% discount. Although his heart was bleeding, he had to thank her. 1 month later, the gold coins and the converted things will be sent to the capital. Great Elder is indeed straightforward. Mayer immediately beamed with joy. She had earned 10% in the blink of an eye. Anyone would laugh out loud. By the way, the Great Elder then asked Mayer in a casual manner, I accidentally heard the madam mention that you have a batch of weapons from 500 years ago. I wonder if I can broaden my horizons. This old man also likes some old weapons. I hope madam can grant me this wish. Of course. Mayer had already negotiated a big deal and was in a good mood. Since Great Elder likes it, then let's go take a look together. Great Elder can pick one that you like as a gift from the Duke to Great Elder. Turning to look at Third Elder, Mayer said with a pained expression, Third Elder can pick one as well. Thank you, madam. First Elder thanked her with a smile. On the other side, the Third Elder seemed to be enraged and did not say anything. After Mayer gave the order, everything was ready. Then, Mayer invited the two elders to a courtyard in the Duke's mansion. The two elders of the Xia clan immediately saw the weapons that were neatly arranged on the ground. They were arranged neatly according to their categories, waiting to be picked up. You're planning to sell these weapons at a high price. Mayer pointed at the thousands of weapons and extended her hand to the two of them. Elders, please choose whatever you like. Forgive me for being presumptuous. Third Elder looked at the old and chipped weapons on the ground. He couldn't help but ask Mayer, you want to sell them at a high price? Isn't this child's play? How can the Duke's methods of doing business be understood by ordinary people? Mayer didn't bother to hide her disdain. She ordered, Rosa, explain to the two elders how the Duke plans to sell these weapons. She didn't even bother to explain herself. Rosa stepped forward and quickly explained Wang Sheng's methods to the two Xia family elders. The two elders, who were much older than Rosa and Mayer combined, listened with wide eyes and slack jaws. How could business be done this way? These are clearly trash. How could they be sold at such a high price? I'm only doing this out of respect for the two elders. If it were someone else, would I give them a gift worth 500,000 gold coins? Mayer spoke with conviction, causing the two elders of the Xia family to turn red. The two elders really wanted to slap Mayer in the face if she dared to say that these two broken weapons were worth 500,000 gold coins. However, after listening to Rosa's explanation, the two elders couldn't refute her. She could really sell these weapons for 500,000 gold coins. The great elder of the Xia family also believed that he was an expert in business. Ever since he was young, the Xia family was able to keep up with the 5 great clans because of the great elder. However, he could only sell his good items at a 10% discount. This was a completely different level compared to a pile of trash that was sold at a sky-high price. It could be said that there was a gap in realms. Moreover, it was a gap that could not be bridged between a first-degree realm expert and a legend realm expert. However, when he thought of the 1 year's time that he had fought for, the great elder of the Xia family strengthened his confidence. It was not a loss. As long as the Xia family could find out the secret, it was not a loss to pay such a price. By the time the secret was revealed, Wang Sheng would have to spit out the Xia family's treasures he had swallowed twice as much. At the thought of this, the great elder had no interest in staying any longer. From the pile of broken weapons on the ground, Third Elder picked out a sword of decent quality. Third Elder also picked out a long saber. The two of them did not say anything else. They did not even bid farewell to Wang Sheng and took their leave. The two weapons were to be taken back for analysis. Since Wang Shengning was able to get this batch of weapons and accessories, there might be other things. This was proof that would be used to convince the master of the Xia family and the other elders. Now, the two elders only had one thought in mind. That was to bring these experts to the capital city to listen to the concert and immediately rush back to Xia country. They would raise money and prepare experts. Once the time was up, they would enter the inner circle of the grounds of Thousand Despair to find the ultimate secret. 500 years ago, the Xia family was suppressed by the 5 great clans. Together with the Feng and Gan families, they became the last 3 of the 8 great clans. As long as they could grasp the secret of the grounds of Thousand Despair, the rise of the Xia family would not be far. Chapter 1040. After sending off the Xia family's great elder and third elder, Mayor and Rosa suppressed their excitement and returned to the back hall. Knowing that no one else would see or hear them, the two of them shouted excitedly and clapped each other's hands. Then, they hurriedly ran towards Wang Sheng's training room. We've made a huge profit this time. Even though Mei was used to businesses like Qian Xinjuan's Runzi Workshop and Dream Workshop's Elegant Charm Workshop, it was still rare for them to earn so much in one transaction. Although Mei and Rosa were calm when they sent off the 2 Xia family's elders, their hearts were already boiling with excitement. Even as they stood at the door, their bodies were trembling with excitement. Bang! The door to the training room was pushed open. Before the people outside could enter, Wang Sheng and the old Taoist could already hear Mayor shouting, "Duke, do you know how much we've earned this time?" Wang Sheng and the old Taoist were already aware of their arrival when the 2 girls ran over, so they didn't react at all. Wang Sheng had already expected Mayor's shout. The old Taoist, on the other hand, was confused. He didn't know what was going on. "Take it easy. Sit down and rest." Wang Sheng stood up and pulled Mayor, who was running over. He reached out to wipe the sweat off her forehead and helped her sit down on a chair. Then, he did the same for Rosa. After the 2 girls were seated, he turned to the old Taoist and explained, "Old Taoist, here's what happened." Wang Sheng told him about how the Xia family's third elder had come looking for him to buy extra tickets. He wanted to buy a year's advantage in the core map of the 1,000 Extremities and the secret to surviving in the mountain land. I asked him to talk to Mayor. The results should be out by now, and it's pretty good. These 2 girls have never seen the world, so don't laugh at them. It's okay. The old Taoist smiled as he stroked his beard and said, "Girl, tell me, how much did you earn? Let's start with 50 concert tickets." Mayor smiled and began to count them one by one. Normally, it's 100,000 gold coins each, but they asked for an extra 50, so I sold them 10 times the price. 50 million gold coins. Wang Sheng gave Mayor and Rosa a thumbs up. She insisted on it. She earned half of the profit of a concert with 50 tickets. She was indeed Mayor. The old Taoist knew the price of a Grandmaster's concert, But now that he heard that Mer had cheated the Xia clan of 50 million gold coins without batting an eye, even if his cultivation was as high as the heavens, in the face of such a large business deal, he couldn't help but feel impressed. They had no choice but to buy it. Mayer explained to the old Taoist with a smile. The Xia family and the Chiu family suffered heavy losses, and many of their experts died. They urgently need experts to replenish their forces. Today, it's the Xia family. Tomorrow, it'll be the Chiu family. They can't escape. Last time, the Chiu family instigated Zhu Xiaodong to deal with Wang Sheng in Tongxing City. In the end, the Chiu family paid 200 million gold coins to settle the matter. However, Mayer was a vengeful person. She still remembered that the Chiu family wanted the remaining 50 places. If they didn't offer more than the Xia family, they wouldn't even think about it. She couldn't cheat them to death. The other one is the way to enter the mountain. Mayer then brought up the second business. Duke, guess how much I sold for? You can guess too, Patriarch. 5 million gold coins. Wang Sheng quickly said a number. Something like that. The old Taoist nodded. Last time, with a simple method to prevent snow blindness, Wang Sheng earned 1 million gold coins from each family, which made them cry in pain. This time, the method to enter the mountain was bought by the Xia family and the Chiu family. Each family could sell it for 5 million gold coins. Adding up to 10 million gold coins, it wasn't a small amount. The old Taoist knew what the method was. It couldn't be simpler. After entering a certain area of the mountain, they would quickly find a place to take a bath and get rid of the smell on their bodies. It was that simple. If the two families knew that it was that simple, they would probably die of heartache. I rounded it up for them. Mayer and Rosa looked at each other and laughed at the same time. After laughing, Mayer slowly gave them an answer. 10 million? When the old Taoist heard that it was a round number, he subconsciously said a whole number. A method to take a bath had cost them 10 million gold coins. What a profiteer! Mayer shook her head and smiled without saying anything. Rosa had the same expression. She seemed to be waiting for Wang Sheng to praise her. Wang Sheng knew how black-hearted Mayer was. He couldn't help but ask in disbelief, "You didn't round it up to 100 million, did you?" When Wang Sheng asked the question, he was also a little scared. If that was really the price, it was a sky-high, black-hearted price. The old Taoist Ling Su was dumbfounded. She just told them that a bath could be sold for 50 million gold coins? Mayer nodded proudly. That was indeed the number. By rounding it up, she meant 100 million gold coins together with the entrance fee. You've offended them to death, haven't you? When Mayer really nodded, the old Taoist couldn't believe his eyes. How could this be called business? This was simply offending them. No. Mayer shook her head and retorted, "Old ancestor, this isn't about selling a method for 50 million gold coins. The Xia family spent 50 million gold coins to buy an opportunity to change the situation of both sides. If that's the case, is 50 million gold coins worth it?" The old Taoist didn't have much time to know how badly the Xia family and the Chiu family were beaten up by the Shangyue kingdom, but he had a rough idea. They could only be beaten up passively without any way to fight back. The two families were so worried that they were about to go to heaven. Now, that there was such a way to change the situation of both sides, it was a great advantage for the two countries. Just by changing the situation of both sides, how many disciples would be saved, how many enemies would be killed, and how many benefits would the two families gain? It was uncountable. If he really calculated it this way, it was only 50 million gold coins, which was not a loss at all. You can't say that the method was worthless just because it was simple. Since it was so simple, why didn't you think of it? This was just like Ho de Ho's alkaline production method on Earth, or the production method of Prussian blue. It seemed very simple now, but when people didn't understand it at that time, they could only use extremely costly methods to produce it. It was just a simple method, but it could bring in a profit that was several times more than 50 million gold coins. It was definitely worth it. After understanding the logic behind it, even the old Taoist Ling Su couldn't help but give Mayer a thumbs up. This was simply superb. In terms of the realm of doing business, Mayer had already reached the legendary realm, right? Wang Sheng also blushed with shame. It seemed that asking Mayer to negotiate was really the right choice. If he had really asked for a price, he might have just asked for 5 million gold coins, and the Xia family would have been able to fool them. If it was Mayer who insisted, it would be another 50 million gold coins, rounding it up. Chapter 1041. It seemed that Wang Sheng had earned 100 million gold coins from these two items. However, this was only for the Xia family. There was also the Qiu family. The Qiu family and the Xia family were in a similar situation. They were also forced into a difficult situation by the Shanghua country. They also had urgent needs for these two things. Therefore, the Qiu family would definitely buy it at a high price like the Xia family, even if they had to grit their teeth. Moreover, they would definitely pay a higher price than the Xia family, because Wang Sheng had hinted to the third elder that the base price they revealed must be higher than the transaction price. Otherwise, the Qiu family would suffer a loss. They would be forced to agree under the pressure of Wang Sheng and Mayer, while the Qiu family would get the same treatment as the Xia family without paying anything. How could there be such a good thing? Even if they had to become beggars, the Xia family would have to drag the Qiu family along and make them pay more. Otherwise, the Xia family would be the laughingstock of the Qiu family. Brothers in hardship, it was nothing more than this. How much did you sell the map's advantage for? Hearing that the base price was 100 million gold coins, the old Taoist knew how big this business was. He asked casually. Then, he picked up his wine glass and clinked it with Wang Sheng's. Both of them drank it all in one gulp. I didn't sell much of the advantage. I only sold it for 500 million. When it came to the last item, Mayer was very calm. She played it down as if she was talking about a small business. Pooh. Wang Shenghe and the old Taoist priest had just drunk a mouthful of Wuyangya wine and were savoring it. Before they could swallow it, they heard Mayer's words, which were as light as a feather, but were worth more than Mount Tai. The two of them did the same thing and spat out the mouthful of wine. They were sitting opposite each other and drinking wine. Now, they almost spat out the wine in each other's faces at the same time. When they were about to wash their faces with the wine in each other's mouths, they did almost the same thing at the same time. The cups that had not been put down yet were quickly turned around in front of their faces by the two men's hands. The exquisite Tai Chi technique collected all the wine that sprayed over into the wine cup. Although the speed was extremely fast, with the softness of Tai Chi, not a single drop of the wine spilled out. It was as if the wine had just been poured and had not been drunk. The only difference was that Wang Sheng's glass contained the old Taoist wine, while the old Taoist glass contained the wine that Wang Sheng's. Their actions were almost the same. In Rosa and Mayer's eyes, they looked like they were looking in a mirror. Their actions were so exquisite. When the two of them placed their wine glasses to the side, the two women finally reacted. They immediately clapped their hands and cheered in unison, their eyes shining with a golden light. Rosa, go get 2 glasses. Seeing the two women looking at him, as if he was their idol, Wang Sheng was furious. However, he didn't lose his temper and ordered Rosa. Rosa held back her laughter. She quickly got up and went out with the 2 glasses. After a while, she came back with 2 clean glasses. When he came back, Wang Sheng and the old Taoist were still staring at Mayer from head to toe. This scene was so funny that Rosa couldn't help but laugh. It broke the awkward atmosphere in the room. Seeing that she had attracted everyone's attention, Rosa hurriedly stuck out her tongue and made a weird expression. Then, she obediently picked up the wine bottle and poured wine for the two of them without saying a word. Lass, did you just say that you sold that opportunity for 500 million gold coins? The old Taoist asked with a weird expression as if he didn't hear what she said before. 500 million gold coins? It wasn't that the old Taoist didn't hear it clearly. It was because the number was so unbelievable that the old Taoist had to reconfirm it. Mayer chuckled and nodded while covering her mouth. At this moment, she was just like a little vixen. The old Taoist gave her a thumbs up without saying anything. He had just thought that Mayer was in the legendary realm when it came to business. Now that he thought about it, Mayer's realm in business was at least the same as his cultivation realm. The difference was at least 12 levels. I said that you guys were in a deadlock the entire morning and couldn't come to an agreement. You even had to use those jewelry and weapons as bait, Wang Sheng said, and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It seems like you really treat the Xia family like a fat pig that you're slaughtering. Duke, you're the one who asked me to sharpen my knife and slaughter the Xia family. Mayer immediately showed an aggrieved expression and complained to Wang Sheng. All right, it's my fault. Wang Sheng smiled bitterly. This time, the Xia family suffered a lot. It was estimated that the losses caused by the entire Shanyue kingdom and the Xia family were not as great as the losses caused by Mayer. Duke, you're still the best. Mayer's expression turned into one of joy in the blink of an eye. They only changed their words after I asked Rosa to wear a few jewelry. Duke, although you didn't show up, this is what it means to have a strategist and foresight. Wang Sheng pointed at Mayer. He wanted to say something, but couldn't. Looking at the joy on Mayer's face and the affection hidden in her eyes, he thought about it and decided not to say anything. Turning to the old Taoist, Wang Sheng pointed at Mayer and the old Taoist and said, Old Taoist, give us 2, no, 3 of us a good day. If we don't take her in, she might run away with all my money. I won't even have a place to cry to. As soon as Wang Sheng said this, not only Mayer, but Rosa also smiled. The happiness and happiness on their faces couldn't be hidden. After all, Wang Sheng still had them in his heart. Have you thought it through? Although the old Taoist was a little surprised, he wasn't too surprised after thinking about it. Things had already come to this. Who else could the 2 girls turn to? However, there were some things that the old Taoist had to say clearly. Don't forget that one day, the major vassal states might turn around and deal with you. Aren't you afraid of implicating the 2 girls? When not afraid. Before Wang Sheng could answer, the 2 girls spoke in unison. Their expressions were firm. They looked at both Wang Sheng and old Taoist Ling Su. Today, the Xia family has already fallen into such a trap. Wang Sheng smiled bitterly. There's still the Qiu family. Now that the 2 families have fallen into this trap, the map will fall into all the vassal states again in a year's time. Do you think those guys will let them off then? They're all in the same boat. What's there to implicate? Wang Sheng didn't mention a word about the feelings of the 2 girls. However, the 2 girls completely believed that Wang Sheng really did it for their own good. However, although it was for their own good, they weren't happy about it. On the contrary, facing the possible storm together with Wang Sheng was the happiest choice for them. Chapter 1042. Is it so important to choose a date? The old Taoist looked at the 2 women and knew what they were thinking. Just find time to do it. Why are you so long-winded? Are you the kind of person who cares about this? The old Taoist had followed Wang Sheng to see Song Yin. When Wang Sheng was pushed down by Song Yin upstairs, the old Taoist was guarding the door downstairs for Wang Sheng. What had he not heard? What had he not seen? It's different. Wang Sheng smiled and looked at Mayer and Rosa. He said gently, they're going to be with me for the rest of their lives. No matter what, they should have a status. The 2 women did not say a word. They just looked at Wang Sheng and the old Taoist with a smile. Although the old Taoist's words were unpleasant, the old Taoist never had any bad intentions. He was leaving them a way out. As long as they did not have a status with Wang Sheng, if anything happened to Wang Sheng in the future, he would not easily implicate the 2 women. However, the 2 women had already thought it through after Wang Sheng told them about the cruel reality they were facing. They did not want to be separated from Wang Sheng. This was their choice, and Wang Sheng respected their choice. Therefore, when dealing with the Xia family, Mayer did not hold back. The price was simply a price that could completely offend them. Even if they did not have a relationship with Wang Sheng, the Xia family would not let them off so easily. Only Wang Sheng immediately understood what the 2 women meant after hearing the number of gold coins they dug out from the Xia family. In front of the old Taoist and the 2 women, they did not hesitate to ask the old Taoist to help them choose a good date. This was the true connection. How could the 2 women not be happy? Okay, at this moment, the old Taoist understood that these 3 people were determined. What else could he say? The old Taoist immediately agreed. When the Grand Abbey Dean comes tomorrow, I will calculate a good date with him. He is better at this than I am. It must be right to ask him. The two women were overjoyed. Ancestor Ling Xiu and the Grand Abbey Dean of the Laojun Temple personally chose a good date for them. Was there anything that could make them happier than this? Obviously there was. Early the next morning, the Chiu family came to the door. They had already heard about the Xia family from the third elder of the Xia family. When they heard that there was such a good thing, they hurriedly went to the Xia family to ask for a purchase, afraid that they would lose their chance if they were late. Gold coins came from the sky when they were sitting at home. Of course, the two women were very happy. The two ladies had obviously underestimated the Chiu family's desire for experts and the importance they placed on the secret that could change the offensive and defensive situation of the Chiu kingdom and the Shangyue kingdom. Before the two women could say a price, the elder of the Chiu family, who was impersonated by the assassin last time, opened his mouth. The third elder of the Xia family has told me the base price of the Xia family is 120 million gold coins. Elder Chiu was very straightforward. He didn't waste any time and took the initiative to raise the price. My Chiu family is a step late. I begged the Duke to sell the remaining tickets to my Chiu family. My Chiu family is willing to increase the price by 20%. I will inform my family to prepare the gold coins and send them to the capital in a few days. The two women felt an indescribable emotion after hearing this. The Xia family was really kind. They only increased the price by 20%. The Chiu family immediately increased the price by 20%. With these two items added together, it would be 144 million gold coins. They were giving away 44 million gold coins out of thin air. Elder Chiu, to tell you the truth, the tickets are not a problem. Since you are so straightforward, we will leave the rest for you. May Air organized her words and said. Elder Chiu's face was full of smiles. However, the Duke said that the method is very simple. Then, May Air changed the topic. Of course, Elder Chiu had been waiting for this. Although the method is simple, it is very effective. May Air waited for Elder Chiu to think for a while before continuing. It's not impossible to sell it to you. However, if you spend a lot of money to buy it and find it very simple, I'm afraid you will think that the Duke is cheating you. The Duke doesn't want to do such a thing. Why don't you just buy the tickets? It will be cheaper. This was what May Air had learned from Wang Sheng. In the past, whenever Wang Sheng did something, he would always warn these people first. He would lay out the ugly words first and tell them the serious consequences first. If they still wanted to continue, they couldn't blame Wang Sheng for it. Mayer also used the same move. It was exactly the same. It's fine. Of course, Elder Chiu understood what Mayer meant. On the contrary, after hearing Mayer's words, he was even more confident that this method would work. It was just that it was very simple and no one else had thought of it. For the Chiu family, they didn't care if the method was simple or expensive. As long as it worked, they were fine with anything. In the past 6 months, the Chiu family had suffered the pain of being beaten but not being able to beat others. If it really worked, the Chiu family didn't mind letting the Shangyue kingdom have a taste of how the Shangyue kingdom flourished. Giving others a taste of their own medicine wasn't a saying that only existed on Earth. Madam, the Chiu family isn't afraid of expensive. I'm just afraid that the method won't work. Elder Chiu expressed his attitude very clearly. The Duke went in and came out personally. The method will definitely work. Mayer was absolutely sure of this. Of course, she was also very speechless. If the two families knew that it was as simple as taking a bath after going in, they would definitely cry. However, Mayer wouldn't show it. She wouldn't look down on this method either. To be able to find this method and know which plant to take a bath after touching, it was a real skill. Otherwise, why didn't the experts in Xia and Chiu kingdoms think of such a simple method? It was perfectly justifiable to sell it for money with real skills. If that's the case, Elder Chiu doesn't need to say anything else. Just erase the small change. 140 million will do. Mayer very generously erased the small change of 4 million gold coins. She had an idea and added, I'll also give Elder Chiu a small gift. Elder Chiu, please come with me and choose for yourself. Elder Chiu looked puzzled as he followed Mayer and Rosa to the independent courtyard where the weapons were kept. He was confused when he saw the courtyard full of ancient weapons. What did this mean? Elder Chiu, please choose one. This is a gift for you. Mayer smiled and pointed at the weapons. The Duke originally wanted to sell these. The two elders of the Xia family also gave one to each of them. After saying this, Mayer didn't forget to ask Rosa to explain in detail how Wang Sheng was going to sell these weapons. As soon as he heard that these were weapons from 500 years ago, Elder Chiu's expression changed. When he saw the mysterious expression on Mayer's face, he suddenly had a clue. He hurriedly asked, "These weapons?" "I can't tell you." Mayer's expression was mysterious, but she gave Elder Chiu a look of certainty. The Duke has an agreement with the Xia family and the Shi and Gan families. "I can't tell you." Elder Chiu immediately understood and quickly nodded. "Thank you, Duke. I'll choose one now." Chapter 1043. The relationship between the various great clans had always been one of mutual help. However, they were always ready to throw stones at each other when they were down. The reason why the Xia family had come to the Changsheng Duke's estate to discuss business with Wang Sheng the moment he returned to the capital was probably because of these weapons. On one hand, there were weapons from 500 years ago, and on the other hand, Wang Sheng had just come out of the core region of the Place of Thousand Despair. There were too many possibilities. In addition, the Gan family and Shi family were involved. The Gan family and Shi family had obtained an opportunity to enter the core region of the Place of Thousand Despair almost 2 years ago. This definitely had something to do with the secret of the core region of the Place of Thousand Despair. Wang Sheng admitted that he couldn't say, but that didn't stop him from making his own guesses. Of course, Elder Chiu wasn't an idiot. He hurriedly chose a sword and left the Duke's estate without even thanking Wang Sheng. When Mayer and Rosa told Wang Sheng about this, Wang Sheng laughed bitterly. Although this was a thorn in the side of the Chiu family and Xia family, Wang Sheng's reputation of keeping secrets for his business partners was slightly damaged. Since this is the case, quickly find an expert who knows how to appraise these weapons. It would be best if it's an authoritative martial grandmaster. Wang Sheng quickly instructed Mayer, also, give these weapons the best packaging. We'll start selling them in 2 or 3 days. Since these weapons were going to be sold, and the Shi family, Gan family, Xia family, and Qiu family knew about it, there was no need to hide it anymore. They could just reveal it and let those people think whatever they wanted. After all, Wang Sheng didn't break any rules. Also, release the news today. Now, Wang Sheng immediately instructed, just say that Qin Xingyuan recently obtained a batch of weapons that were used by some ancestors 500 years ago. He's currently asking an expert martial grandmaster to appraise them. They'll be released soon. Spread the news first. Privately, spread the news. Whoever wants to get back their ancestors' weapons should contact Qin Xingyuan as soon as possible. Mayer and Rosa immediately went to make the arrangements. For the two of them, this matter was only a matter of a few words. Naturally, there were countless people running errands. During the days when Wang Sheng was not in Changshinggong Fu, he did not know how much Changshinggong Fu had changed. In the courtyards on both sides of the front hall, there were always a group of shopkeepers, a group of accountants, and errand runners waiting at all times. As soon as Mayer and Rosa gave the order, they would immediately run out to do it without any delay. If Wang Sheng knew about this, he would definitely be surprised. Mayer was really good at doing business. As a matter of fact, even his secretaries and assistants had been assigned. The news was released very quickly. It was too simple. In the capital, Duke Changxing's residence, especially those related to Qin Xingyuan and a few other businesses, had countless people watching them every day. Since they had the intention to leak information, there were hundreds of volunteer propagandists who quickly spread the news. Not only was the capital buzzing, but even in the various vassal states, the latest news was placed on the king's desk in less than half a day. The Shi family, the Gan family, the Xia family, and the Qiu family were not surprised at all. Wang Sheng had already told them long ago. It was very normal for them to do it as soon as they came back. Lao Jingwan was very clear. On the emperor's side, Manager Li finally understood what Wang Sheng had reminded him about at that time. The rest of the vassal states were all confused. However, this did not stop them from thinking. It couldn't be helped. The time node 500 years ago was too sensitive. It was so sensitive that everyone would associate it as soon as they heard it. With this, everyone sped up. This time, all the vassal states had at least 2 elders leading the team and enough masters to rush to the capital. The emperor seemed to have been prepared. When Wang Sheng came back and promised to hold a concert, he immediately sent an official message to the vassal states. It was not a problem to bring masters to the capital, but they had to restrain their own masters and not make trouble at will. It was not easy to have a place where everyone could smoothly improve their cultivation, and it was not limited to any side. Everyone should cherish it as much as possible. In short, this was the meaning. In the end, it was to restrain their own subordinates. Since they had come to the capital to improve their cultivation, they should put these grudges aside. When the concert was over and they left the capital, they could fight as much as they wanted. If there was a knot that could not be resolved and they had to fight in the capital, then there was another way. The new Erguo, too, from the imperial treasury had the highest degree of liquor. Everyone could compete with each other, and whoever drank the other down. Anyway, as long as there was no fighting in the capital, everything was fine. Otherwise, he would be making life difficult for everyone. Even if the emperor did not dare to make a sound, if 1 or 2 people disturbed Duke Chongqing's mood, then everyone would come in vain. Don't blame the emperor for not informing them. Everyone also knew that the emperor could not make the decision for Duke Chongqing. In the past, Wang Sheng had also held a concert, and the emperor had not sent such a formal message to all the vassal states. All of this had to be attributed to the students who graduated from the first advanced class of the Royal Academy of Arts. More than half a year's time, for those selected high-level musicians who already had the level of the Royal Symphony Orchestra, it was enough for them to go further under the guidance of those great masters. The disciple who was personally taught by Master Yu also led these advanced class students to hold 3 concerts in the Royal Grand Theatre. According to the evaluation of the audience who had participated in those concerts, they had already reached the level of the Royal Symphony Orchestra. Every time they performed, there would be a few masters who successfully advanced to the next level. This also indicated that all parties could slowly enjoy the increase in the cultivation of their own masters by giving away their own musicians. However, as soon as those musicians returned to their respective places and played in front of the heads of the families, everyone was dumbfounded. There was no such effect at all. On the contrary, when the musicians left, they had already received guidance from Master Yu and the others, telling them the reasons for their failure one by one. First of all, the venue was not suitable. Whether it was the Royal Grand Theatre or the small theater in Duke Wang Sheng's mansion, they were all specially designed and carefully calculated. Without a suitable building and a suitable formation, it would not work. At this time, someone remembered the 3 pictures that had been placed in the Yun inner courtyard for a long time. One was the picture of the amplification formation, priced at 100,000 gold coins. The other was the design and architectural drawing of the small theater, priced at 10 million gold coins. The third was the design and architectural drawing of the Royal Grand Theatre, priced at 100 million gold coins. Almost everyone looked at the 3 pictures as a joke, but now all the vassal states could not laugh. Without these pictures, if they wanted to achieve the effect of music to assist their cultivation, they could only dream. Chapter 1044. That was only the first reason. The second reason was the musical instruments. What musical instruments did the grandmasters use? Which one of them was not carefully crafted and calibrated by Master Yu? Ever since Yun started her business, there was a grandmaster of arrays who became a grandmaster of musical arrays, concentrating on researching the compatibility of musical instruments and theater arrays. All the musical instruments used by the grandmasters were of the highest quality, with arrays engraved on them. As long as they were used in the theater, they could resonate with the array in the theater and increase the effect by 30%. The Royal Symphony Orchestra was lucky. At first, they could still use the best musical instruments that master you had lent them. But when the grandmasters arrived, they did not have a share of the good stuff anymore. However, Wang Sheng was generous enough to let Yi Yun give the musicians of the Royal Symphony Orchestra a suitable musical instrument. Although it was not as good as the ones that Master Yu had added arrays to, it was still top-notch. When performed, they could basically maintain the original standard. However, the musicians sent by the other parties did not have such treatment. They performed in the Royal Theatre. The Royal Symphony Orchestra had given them face and lent them their own musical instruments. Only then did their performance have the effect of aiding their cultivation. When they returned to their respective vassal states, there was no theater, no arrays, and no high-quality musical instruments. How could they achieve the same effect with the ordinary ones they used before? These were all hardware reasons. As long as the money was used, there was nothing to worry about. The array was for sale, and so was the theater design. There were plenty of architects and array masters. They just had to build it. Everyone thought it was very simple, but the musicians simply waved their hands. It was not that simple. They had the array and theater design, but it was not enough. Some of the subtle, key points still needed to be fine-tuned. Otherwise, the effect would not be optimal. Isn't the array and theater design sold by Chongqing Public a scam? Someone suddenly shouted unhappily. It's not a scam, the musicians hurriedly explained. The materials were different in different places. The wood, soil, and stone density were different. The resulting sound wave resonance effect was also different. This required careful fine-tuning by an array master. The design said this position, but in practice, it might need to be a millimeter to the left or 100 microns to the right. This all needed to be adjusted according to the actual situation. Then how long will it take for the array master to research it? This reason was so powerful that even those who were not willing to give up their anger. Normally, it would take 3 to 5 years. The musician in charge of answering quickly replied, but the Royal Academy of Arts has a specialization in teaching array masters, and they have recruited students before. The array master in charge of teaching is the one who decorated the Royal Grand Theatre and the small theater in Duke Chongqing's mansion. It will only take 4 months to teach one episode. Everyone was speechless. Back then, Wang Sheng had indeed recruited array masters and architects. However, no one had thought that it was necessary at that time. Didn't the various vassal states have a few great grandmaster array masters? Aren't there a few grandmaster architects? Is there need to go to Beijing to study? But now, it seemed that he really had to go to the capital to learn. He had already prepared it for you, but you didn't believe it. Who else could you blame? Do you also need an architect? If you wanted to learn array formation, the Royal Academy of Arts would also recruit architect students. Wouldn't they be one? Yes. The musicians answered very honestly, what kind of material is the best for sound transmission? What kind of material is the best for sound absorption? How to arrange it? These are all paid attention to, and it also needs to be coordinated with the array. Those design drawings don't have these. It is said that it needs to be considered according to the different materials produced in different places. As long as you go to study for a few months, you can use local materials and save a lot of the cost of cross-border purchases. After listening to these explanations, no one could say anything else. The Royal Academy of Arts in the capital had actually prepared everything for all parties from the beginning, but no one believed it, so they missed the time for one episode. But they still had nowhere to vent their anger, because the decision was made by themselves, and they couldn't blame others. This time, the elders will lead the team, bring the array master and architects together. When the kings of the vassal states chose their teams before leaving, they gave the elders the latest instructions. This time, they were determined to learn all the tricks. Unfortunately, would Wang Sheng let everyone succeed so easily? Just these alone, the auxiliary effect, may be at most 60% of our normal performance. The musicians have been instilled with a lot of this during their training, and now someone immediately spoke up. What? We spent so much money to buy a theater, array drawings, instruments, and train the architects and array masters. We spent so much time, and you're telling me that the effect is only 60% of normal? Are you kidding me? I'm not kidding. The masters have forgotten to cultivate a type of talent. The musicians told the truth. Conductor, we lack a qualified conductor. The masters' faces darkened, but they patiently listened to the musicians explain the use of a conductor. But it was not difficult, and it was easy to understand. To put it bluntly, since it was called a conductor, it was equivalent to the commander on the battlefield, the person in charge of the operations. Was it important? Was there a need for special explanations? Of course it was important. If there was no conductor to coordinate all parties, the musicians would have to rely on their own ears to coordinate with others and be distracted. How good would the effect be? As the saying went, it was easy to get 3 armies but difficult to find a good general. This fully demonstrated the importance of a good conductor. The Grand Master Orchestra had Master Yu, and now the Royal Symphony Orchestra had Master Yu's personal disciple. What did the other parties have? Blind. The other parties could only bite the bullet and find young people with the potential to be a conductor to train. Conductors were different from musicians. Not only did they need to be proficient in music theory, but they also needed to have good ears and coordination skills. This training was not something that could be done in 6 months, but 3 years. In these 3 years, no matter how big the vassal states were, they could only make do with the musicians trained in the previous few periods. Therefore, those with foresight would directly choose a few more and send them all at once to see how many could be trained. After all, the Royal Academy of Art said that other musicians were fine, but the training of conductors could not be guaranteed. Everything was within Wang Sheng's calculations, and even the emperor had to admire him. In the future, if the Royal Academy of Arts opened up a new profession, there would definitely be a lot of people signing up because no one knew what use it would have. In this way, didn't the cultural center that Wang Sheng had mentioned back then already have a prototype? At this time, if the emperor did not take the opportunity to set up rules with a tone of discussion, when would he wait? Chapter 1045. Just the Royal Academy of Arts alone had already attracted the attention of all parties. It turned out that there were so many things inside, and every one of them was useful. After this incident, no one dared to underestimate the Royal Academy of Arts anymore. Even those musicians who had been trained in the advanced class of the Royal Academy of Arts had a higher status than ordinary musicians after they left. Now, not only array masters, but even architects were trained by the Royal Academy of Arts. Didn't that mean that as long as they spent a bunch of gold coins, spent a period of time, and seriously studied, their value would rise after they came out? Now, it wasn't only Wang Sheng who recognized the name of the Royal Academy of Arts. The emperor's royal family, and even the major vassals were constantly selecting talents to send to the Royal Academy of Arts. Wasn't this enough to explain the problem? Cultural center. What was a cultural center? In addition to the fact that all the good things in this area were concentrated in the capital, there was another point, and that was that even those who came from the Royal Academy of Arts were more noble than the people outside. This was the cultural center. For the emperor, when had he ever had such a glory? In the past, those who were involved with the royal family, when they went to the various vassal states, which one of them wasn't suppressed like a grandson? Now, the dignified Royal Academy of Arts, under the official name of the royal family, the value of the students who went out would increase greatly. If this wasn't glory, then what was? Wang Sheng could be said to do what he said. It made the emperor wish he could immediately find Wang Sheng and have a good chat. However, he also knew that with more and more people staring at Wang Sheng, it wouldn't be easy for the emperor to live in his courtyard. Fortunately, in the capital, if the emperor really wanted to do something, he could still do it. For example, Wang Sheng suddenly received a notice from Mei saying that the empress went to the prince's mansion where Rose's sisters lived and waited for Wang Sheng. Isn't she afraid of death? After Wang Sheng heard the news, he was directly shocked. There was a group of beautiful women living in that king's mansion. However, they were fish that had escaped the net of victorious return after the Tang family, Xia family, and Feng family had joined forces to exterminate them. All of these beautiful women were sent there as gifts to Wang Sheng. Even though they were all beauties, there were quite a number of them who were at the 7th or 8th stage realm back then. In addition, There was also Tantai Yao, who wished to stir up trouble. She was a true 9th-stage realm expert. Furthermore, almost all of the beauties had already passed the threshold of the Eternal Spring mantra. If they were to cultivate it again, it wouldn't take long for them to become a group of legendary experts that would leave others speechless. In this kind of situation, the Empress actually dared to take the initiative to go to that place. Wasn't she afraid that one of the beauties of Victoria's return would harbor resentment and make a move on her? Duke, the sisters in the mansion only have one heaven now, and that is you, Duke. Hearing Wang Sheng's surprise, Rosa immediately stood up and said to Wang Sheng, including this concubine, everyone is willing to die for Duke. None of them would do anything to make things difficult for you. The Empress is in the mansion. There is absolutely no need to worry about her safety. AI. Wang Sheng sighed and said to Rosa, it's been hard on all of you. This was a bad debt, but Wang Sheng still had to pay it. How could he abandon so many beauties? Duke, I know the rules that you promised the sisters. Other than you, no other men are allowed to enter the mansion. Mer smiled at the side and said to Wang Sheng, so the Empress only brought a group of maids and female guards. In addition, Steward Zhou will be accompanying her. He is no longer a man. Duke, I believe you won't mind. Steward Zhou was a eunuch and could even enter the inner courtyard of the imperial palace. Even if Wang Sheng didn't allow men to enter the mansion, he could still enter. Hearing that Steward Zhou would be accompanying them, Wang Sheng heaved a sigh of relief. To be honest, Wang Sheng was very assured of the sisters in the mansion. The only one he was worried about was Tantai Yao. She was a master in the legendary realm, but in front of Steward Zhou, she still couldn't win. With Steward Zhou around, there was no need to worry about the Empress's safety. Then let's go. Wang Sheng stood up. Don't let the Empress wait for too long. Wang Sheng had been busy for a few days after coming back, so he didn't have time to go to the mansion. This time, he left Duke Chongqing's mansion and went straight to the mansion, which made those people who were watching him feel uncomfortable. Duke Chongqing was busy for a few days after coming back, and then he directly lived in the Fragrant Kingdom. That was a courtyard full of super beauties. These few months, Wang Sheng wasn't in the capital, but it didn't mean that the Dream Workshop's reputation would diminish. On the contrary, the Dream Workshop's reputation had become more and more prosperous. As long as one lived in the capital, those high-ranking officials, nobles, and relatives of the royal family, which family didn't have a VIP card in the Dream Workshop, they were embarrassed to go out and greet people. Almost every female VIP had their own corresponding personal trainer. Who were these trainers? Of course, they were the women in the mansion. In the Dream Workshop, every one of them was a supermodel, a salesgirl, and also a personal trainer. If any of the trainers didn't have a few famous female disciples, it would be a miracle. All the upper-class ladies and socialites in the capital were trying to make a name for them. The more beautiful and graceful those upper-class ladies and socialites were, the more pampered they were, the more famous they were for the supermodel coaches behind them. In the words of countless noble ladies, the top girls in the brothel in the capital, the top girls in the brothel, were all trash in front of the beauties in the mansion. Any one of them didn't need to show off. Just a movement or a look could make those men fall head over heels. But everyone wanted to see how outstanding these women were, but they couldn't see a single man. In the past, these supermodels would show their faces when they went to concerts, but later, no matter where they went, as long as they went out, they would all wear the masks and hoods that Duke Chongqing had specially invented for the female warriors. Later on, the atmosphere in the capital was very open. When the women went out, they also wore the series of leather combat suits that Wang Sheng had invented. Their daily shoes were high-heeled leather boots, and their combat style was flat heels. As soon as they appeared, a group of beautiful long legs would steal the souls of many people. Almost every day on a trip, there would be men who would stare blankly for half a day along the way. Everyone was used to it. Many people lusted after one of the supermodels in the Dream Workshop, but Wang Sheng just stayed in one of the supermodels' homes. More than 600 people served Wang Sheng alone. The goddesses in the hearts of countless people, but in front of Wang Sheng, They were all maids, and slaves. Was such a person not worthy of the jealousy of others? As soon as Wang Sheng entered the mansion, countless men in the capital had their hearts broken. Chapter 1046. As soon as Wang Sheng stepped into the Wang's mansion, many people sent the news out. Whether it was near or far, they all breathed a sigh of relief after receiving the news. A Wang Sheng who liked beautiful women was not scary. What was scary was a Wang Sheng who guarded beautiful women and did not touch them. If Wang Sheng's willpower was strong enough to resist the temptation of such a beauty, then Wang Sheng would be too terrifying. It was good that he entered the Wang's mansion. It was good that he entered the Wang's mansion. A young man should be careful of lust. The experienced experts were all exhorting Wang Sheng from afar with gratified expressions on their faces. Who cared if he could hear them or not? Compared with Duke Changxing's mansion, there were much fewer people watching in the Wang's mansion. It could even be said that there was no professional stalker, only some lechers who wanted to covet the beauties of the women in the Wang's mansion from a distance. When the Empress entered the Wang's mansion, it did not attract anyone's attention at all. The Empress was personally arranged to enter the Wang's mansion by Mei Er and Rosa. There was a steward Zhou inside. Although the women were very unhappy, they did not disobey these two people at all and served the Empress very well. As soon as Wang Sheng returned to the Wang's mansion, beautiful women immediately came forward with a smile and welcomed Wang Sheng into the Wang's mansion. Those who needed to change their clothes changed their shoes, as if Wang Sheng had returned to his own home. In this whole Wang's mansion, no one avoided Wang Sheng. Even if they changed their clothes in front of Wang Sheng, they were so comfortable, not afraid that Wang Sheng would see it. "Please forgive me, Your Highness." Seeing the Empress, Wang Sheng still bowed to the Empress. Of course, he stood on the spot and cupped his hands. As for kneeling, it was impossible. "I dare not accept such a big bow from Duke Changsheng." The Empress took the initiative to stand up and return the bow with a smile. Her face was full of the look of a mother-in-law looking at her son-in-law. If Wang Sheng did not know that she entered the palace later, he would have thought that she was Mayor's biological mother. "Duke Changsheng didn't come just now, so I didn't reveal my identity, but I made the sisters in the mansion worried." After the Empress returned the greeting, she didn't sit down directly. Instead, she slightly bowed to the surrounding maids who had just served them. The Emperor also knows the rule that no men are allowed to enter this mansion except for Duke Changsheng, so the Emperor didn't come personally. Chief Steward Zhou is the chief steward of the imperial household. I believe he did not break Duke Changsheng's rules. Here, I apologize to everyone on behalf of His Majesty and Chief Steward Zhou. Please forgive me. The maids arranged to serve the Empress in the guest hall were stunned. This graceful and beautiful woman was the Empress? The man by her side that everyone was so unhappy with was actually the minister of the imperial household? Why was everyone unhappy? It was because there was another man in the mansion, which made everyone uncomfortable. Now, the Empress personally explained that this was the minister of the imperial household that was a eunuch, so he was not a man. This explanation immediately swept away the previous unhappiness of the maids. It turned out that Madame Mayer and Sister Rosa still took care of the rules of the mansion after all. What shocked everyone even more was that the Empress personally gave everyone a half bow and an explanation. This face was gone, and it warmed the hearts of these women who were originally homeless and destitute. Last time, when the Grand Abbey Dean of Laojun Temple came, he also followed the rules of the mansion. As the Grand Abbey Dean of Laojun Temple and the leader of Taoism in the world, he didn't enter the mansion. He just talked with Wang Sheng on the long street outside, giving enough face to Wang Sheng and the maids. The maids shed tears of gratitude and became more and more loyal to Wang Sheng. Now it was the Empress's turn. This was the Empress. Although the imperial power was nothing in the major vassal states, this was the capital. Being in the capital for such a long time, how could they not know what the Empress meant? The Empress personally apologized for the minister of the imperial household, Steward Zhou. It was in line with the rules, but because she didn't inform him in advance, she still had to apologize. Besides showing respect, was there any other meaning? What was even more incredible was that there was the intention of the emperor himself. Because the emperor knew Wang Sheng's rules, he specially asked the empress to come, and he didn't come, in order to cooperate with Wang Sheng's rules. What was this? This was Wang Sheng putting them on a pedestal. Even the Grand Abbey Dean of Laojun Temple, the emperor and the empress treated them as treasures in front of Wang Sheng's rules. How could the maids not be shocked? What was the reason for all of this? It was because the Duke Changsheng in front of them, Wang Sheng, was also the eternal lover they acquiesced in when they chose to cultivate the Yongchun mantra. Wang Sheng used all means to care for them, protect them, and protect them. Apart from giving everything they had to Wang Sheng without reservation, what else could they do? They would not let Duke Changsheng down in this life. Sisters, you have worked hard. Wang Sheng smiled bitterly. It seemed that the empress had given Wang Sheng enough face by doing this. He was afraid that the later requirements would be more and more difficult. Wang Sheng knew that it was easy to fool the emperor, but it was not so easy to fool the empress. After this woman and Mayer cooperated to do business, her insight had increased geometrically, and he couldn't see through her. Greetings, Duke. The maids in the guest hall bowed to Wang Sheng together. After the leader bowed, she immediately left cleverly. I'll leave now. Duke, please instruct me at any time. After that, she left with all the maids, leaving only Wang Sheng, Mayer, Rosa, the empress, and steward Zhou in the guest hall. The empress came to see Wang Sheng in private. There must be something secret to talk about. Although Wang Sheng had always trusted these maids and didn't mean to ask them to leave, they still took the initiative to leave. This was to avoid suspicion, and also to let Wang Sheng not leave any evidence in front of the empress. In fact, it was a kind of protection so that Wang Sheng wouldn't be embarrassed. Even if it was just the action of leaving, the empress was very appreciative. Looking at the back of the maids leaving, she sighed. If the palace is full of maids like this, I'm afraid I won't be the empress. Empress, you're flattering me. Wang Sheng smiled and shook his head. The empress was just saying, if the maids really fought with the empress, they wouldn't know how many times they would have died. Wang Sheng glanced at Steward Zhou, and Steward Zhou nodded slightly. Wang Sheng understood that no one outside could hear them now, so he spoke. Empress, you came to my house in person. Please instruct me. Wang Sheng smiled and asked the empress, I heard that you've already promised Mayer that you'll find a good day to settle the matter. The empress had a kind smile on her face, and the expression on her young face made people speechless. As Mayer's adoptive mother, can I come to see my son-in-law? Chapter 1047. Her Majesty's words put Wang Sheng in an awkward position. If the empress, who was so clear and thoughtful, didn't put on the airs of the empress and pretend to care for him as an elder, Wang Sheng couldn't resist her. Wang Sheng could only look at Mayer. How did the empress know this so soon? Mayer, who was next to him, blushed because of the empress's words. She had already lowered her head. How could she still be the strong woman who made the Xia family vomit blood? It's not Mayer's fault. Seeing Wang Sheng looking at Mayer, the empress knew what Wang Sheng was thinking. She said with a smile, as soon as I met her these days, she seemed to be so happy that she wanted the whole world to see it. I asked her a few questions and got the answer. Damn. Wang Sheng looked at Mayer. She was so impatient about such a small thing. It was so embarrassing. Mayer knew that she had done something wrong. She lowered her head like a quail and didn't dare to look up at Wang Sheng. She and Rosa got Wang Sheng's promise. They were happy in their hearts, but there was no one to share their happiness with. It was so uncomfortable. However, the empress's eyes were sharp. She saw through the two women's happiness at a glance. When Mayer was a little dizzy with happiness, the empress just casually guided her a few times and got the specific information from Mayer. What? You don't dare to show it to others? Seeing that Wang Sheng didn't speak, the empress couldn't help but provoke. Duke Changsheng, are you going to do it secretly? Not yet. Wang Sheng laughed. It's okay that you know it. It's just that I haven't planned to tell you yet. It's good that you know it. It saves me trouble. That's more like it. The Empress also smiled. She put on the demeanor of a concubine and displayed the prestige of the imperial harem. Mayor has worked hard for you for so many years. Hearing that, Mayor was even more embarrassed. If it wasn't for the fact that she would definitely be laughed at if she went out, she would have already run out. Congratulations to the Duke. Congratulations to the Princess. Steward Zhou also joined in the fun and cupped his hands to congratulate Wang Sheng and Emma. Same to you. Old Zhou, come and drink at the wedding. Wang Sheng was thick-skinned. He immediately accepted the invitation and invited Steward Zhou instead. The scene instantly became a mess of peace and harmony. Once the date is set, inform His Majesty and me. The Empress smiled with satisfaction and said, Ancestor Lingshu and the Abbey Dean are much better than the official from the Board of Rights in the Imperial Court. Let's not fight for this day. Both sides were happy and talked for a while about the wedding. Looking at the Empress's happy face, even happier than Mayor herself, Wang Sheng even suspected that the Empress was also naturally charming. Was she Mayor's mother? Based on what Wang Sheng knew, the current Empress was a naturally charming woman that the Son of Heaven's favored concubine had taken in from outside the palace after she had been ordered to die. In theory, she should not be Mei-Er's birth mother. However, she looked even happier than Mei-Er, which made Wang Sheng wonder if the Empress was Mei-Er's biological mother. His Majesty said that Duke Changsheng is the main reason why the Royal Academy of Arts can be known throughout the world. After talking about private matters, the Empress finally talked about official matters. He specifically asked me to come here to personally express my gratitude to Duke Changsheng, just to thank you. Mei-Er was very shy just now, but she instantly recovered to be a smart and capable woman. Isn't there any reward? Reward? The Empress also smiled bitterly. Tell me what reward? Gold coins? Money? Official position? Or beautiful women? What do you want? I'll ask someone to send it over right away. The Empress smiled bitterly, and Mei-Er was also dumbfounded. Yes. What reward? Gold and silver jewelry? Duke Changsheng's mansion had more than the palace. Official position? Did Changsheng care about a small capital official now? Even if the emperor was willing to give it, would Wang Sheng be willing to accept it? Not to mention beautiful women. There were more than 600 people in this mansion waiting to be pampered, but they didn't even have a chance. Wang Sheng knew the masters of Linglong Pavilion, who had much better things than those in the palace. The only thing that the palace could offer was some martial arts in the past. But now Wang Sheng was a disciple of Laojun Temple. The martial arts of Laojun Temple were several levels higher than those in the palace, and it was more suitable for Wang Sheng. The martial arts in the palace were either prepared for the emperor to prolong his life or for the eunuchs. In Wang Sheng's words, it was the Sunflower Treasure Book series. Wang Sheng didn't need it at all. In this way, what reward would the emperor give? Wang Sheng used it better than the emperor. Reward? His Majesty said so. Speaking of this, the Empress was unprecedentedly formal. She even looked around and glanced a few times. After confirming that no one was nearby, she said, if Duke Changsheng is in trouble, and His Majesty is willing to give Duke Changsheng shelter, as long as Duke Changsheng rushes to the palace, the title of Imperial Minister will be indispensable. Wang Sheng raised his eyebrows. Since the emperor could say so, it could be seen that he really left a way out for Wang Sheng. The emperor was willing to give this promise, which also showed that he was willing to bear the pressure for Wang Sheng. It was a pity that the Son of Heaven had indeed given Wang Sheng face, but that was all there was to it. Just like the Temple of Laojun, as long as Wang Sheng did not jump out of line, the Son of Heaven could ensure Wang Sheng's safety. However, it was impossible for him to stand on Wang Sheng's side and become enemies with the entire world. Mei-Er was also very surprised that the emperor could actually give such a guarantee. It was indeed unexpected. Imperial Minister? Wang Sheng couldn't help but ask the Empress, then, do I have to be like old Zhou? Rosa and Mei-Er almost couldn't help laughing. They finally knew that in front of the Empress, they didn't dare to do anything, but it was also hard to hold it in. The Empress's face changed. Wang Sheng's joke was too much, but in a blink of an eye, she also laughed. After laughing for a while, she nodded quickly and said, "Of course, as long as May agrees, it is not impossible to give you the title of Minister of the Imperial Household." After a while of laughter, everyone laughed enough and then began to chat slowly. The Empress came today mainly to pass such a message to Wang Sheng, so that Wang Sheng could feel at ease. Everything else was just something he did in passing. Speaking of which, this abandoned Wang's mansion has been abandoned for some time, and there has been no name. Are you going to call it Wang's mansion? The Empress changed the topic in the chat to the name of Wang's mansion, Duke Changsheng. Is it time to give it a suitable name? I think Qian Xingyuan, Runzi Workshop, and others are all good, right? Give a name? Wang Sheng was stunned, and then smiled. Well said, well said. From today on, this is no longer a Wang's mansion, but Grand View Garden. Chapter 1048. The whole garden was full of beautiful women, and no other men could come in. Wasn't this the Grand View Garden in reality? Wang Sheng blurted out the name without thinking. After saying that, Wang Sheng realized that only he could go in. Didn't that mean he was the second master of Jia Baoyu? That coward? Bad luck. Unfortunately, there was no way to change it. The Empress, Mei and rose upon her for a while, and the Empress said first, "Not bad, not bad. It's a magnificent Grand View Garden. Interesting." Steward Zhou also joined in the fun. The scene was harmonious and harmonious. After chatting for a while, the Empress asked curiously, "Duke Changsheng, according to your estimation, how long does it take for an ordinary musician to become a great master?" "Very long." Wang Sheng smiled and replied, "Your Majesty, the youngest of those great masters is over 70 years old. I'm afraid it's impossible if it doesn't take 30 or 50 years. Even with the guidance of a great master, it still takes so long?" The Empress asked again. "I'm afraid so." Wang Sheng knew there was no shortcut in this regard. Maybe there were a few amazing geniuses who could reach this level at a very young age, but it was generally possible for them to reach this level when they were over 60 years old. The reason was that they didn't have enough life experience and couldn't feel the feelings and emotions in some songs. This world wasn't like the world on Earth, where people could know the world's events just by sitting at home. Therefore, the possibility of success was very low. In this case, when you are in the capital, as long as you hold a great master concert every 1 or 2 months, even if those people want to hurt you, I'm afraid they can't bear to do so. The Empress suggested. From this sentence, Wang Sheng knew that the Empress was really thinking of a way out for him. Of course, she definitely considered the position of the royal family, but at least the starting point was from the perspective of the difficulties that Wang Sheng might face in the future. Under normal circumstances, according to the Empress's plan, even if all the secrets of the grounds of Thousand Despair were unraveled, everyone would tolerate Wang Sheng and not kill him. This was because only Wang Sheng was able to invite those great grandmaster musicians. No matter how much gold coins others begged, those great grandmasters wouldn't even look at them. The problem was that the goddess did not know what Wang Sheng was planning to do in the lands of Thousand Despair. If it was as Wang Sheng had guessed, and the girl in his dream was the #1 expert of the Lin family back then Wang Sheng would most likely become public enemy #1 if he let her out. At that time, let alone the various feudal vassals, even the royal family and carefree city would hunt down Wang Sheng. The only one who could be at ease was Liu Zhengwen. No matter what, Wang Sheng was still very grateful for the Empress's efforts. After thanking the Empress solemnly, he looked at the time and found that it was almost time for the Empress to leave. Wang Sheng easily brought Rosa and Meyer to the entrance of the prince's mansion, which had not yet been renamed. He gave some pointers and hung a board on the door, attracting the gazes of those who stared at Wang Sheng. Steward Zhou, on the other hand, easily led the Empress and left through the back door without alerting anyone. That day, Wang Sheng stayed in the prince's mansion. This action broke the hearts of many people in the capital. When they thought of the goddess that they had never even met being bullied by Wang Sheng in the prince's mansion, many people couldn't sleep well that night. Regardless of the situation outside, it was a different scene in the prince's mansion. The empress cleverly helped Wang Sheng to save face again, which made the women in the prince's mansion extremely grateful. After the sisters who served in the guest hall went out, they once again told the other sisters what the empress had said inside. As a result, Wang Sheng was once again worshipped by the women. Anyway, in the prince's mansion, Wang Sheng was served very well. As long as it was the sisters who were responsible for serving him, they were all extremely gentle. Almost Wang Sheng didn't need to move his hand, and everything was done. Even when Wang Sheng slept at night, the two sisters who warmed the bed and the quilt hated that they couldn't drip water from their eyes. As for the beauties who directly served in the bedroom, it directly increased to 20. Mei and Rosa seemed to have expected this situation. On the same day, they accompanied Wang Sheng to have dinner and returned to Duke Changxing's mansion. The excuse was to go back to check the accounts, but in fact, they threw Wang Sheng to the women in the prince's mansion. No one would force Wang Sheng, but everyone in the prince's mansion tried their best to tempt Wang Sheng. Unfortunately, Wang Sheng could only refuse the women's painstaking efforts. Although he still accepted the women's thoughtful service, in the end, he still did things that were worse than beasts. The next night was the day of the concert in advance. Wang Sheng had already informed the women to prepare. This time, Wang Sheng found that all the women were almost on the verge of breaking through. It must be said that cultivating again really made their cultivation soar. It had only been a few months, and the cultivation realm of the women in Yongchun cultivation method had already reached the peak of the 5th stage realm on average. He believed that after tonight, everyone would be in the 6th stage realm. Just as Wang Sheng was planning to cultivate normally for a day, waiting for the concert to arrive at night, Mayor and Rosa hurriedly came knocking on his door. There was a problem with the appraiser Wang Sheng was looking for to appraise the weapons. After listening to Mei Er's description, Wang Sheng then realized that it wasn't the appraiser who had a problem. In this world, there is no such thing as a real appraiser. For normal business, there was no need for any appraiser. It all depended on the shopkeeper's own eyesight. No matter if it was buying or selling, it was the same. This was also one of the reasons why it was so hard to find a good shopkeeper. Normal shopkeepers only needed to know the quality of the goods. Knowing the grade of the ordinary goods and being able to differentiate it by themselves and being able to set a price based on the general market, that was enough. As for cultivation methods, battle skills, or even medicinal pill prescriptions, there were shopkeepers who specialized in this area who would take care of them. The quality of the weapons, on one hand, was determined by the craftsman himself. For example, those grandmasters in exquisite pavilion. On the other hand, it was the customer's own eyesight. There was no authoritative evaluation standard. In this world, there were many families that had lasted for hundreds of years. Although not all of them were like the 8 feudal vassals, but a middle-class ordinary family or a large family with thousands of people was also normal. This led to the lack of decent antique trading in this world. Although antiques, calligraphy, and paintings were treasures that could be passed down from generation to generation, the problem was that people here used beast skin scrolls previously. The so-called calligraphy and paintings were only developed in recent years when Wang Sheng made good Xian paper. How could they be considered as antiques? After much effort, there was only one result. Mayor and Rosa searched the entire capital, but they couldn't find the appraiser that Wang Sheng mentioned. Chapter 1049. Not even the Pavilion of Delicacy? Wang Sheng had already formed a habit. If he wanted to find someone who was not a cultivator, the Pavilion of Delicacy would be his first choice. No, Mei shook her head. She had already asked Old Tai, and it seemed that there was no talent in the Pavilion of Delicacy. In terms of business, the Pavilion of Delicacy and Qian Xingyuan were not just 1 or 2 levels apart. The Pavilion of Delicacy could sell an item for tens of thousands of gold coins at most, but the same item could be sold for hundreds of thousands after Qian Xingyuan packaged it. That was the difference. Then forget it. Wang Sheng shook his head. Since there was no talent in this area, there was no need for him. He originally planned to find an authority to appraise those weapons and sell them with the authorities' reputation. Now it seemed that Wang Sheng had not thought it through. He did not expect such a situation. I went to ask Old Tai and the others. Mayor reported to Wang Sheng. Old Tai said there is no such person, but he recommended a friend. It is said that he has been living in the Celestial Workshop and has a good relationship with Old Tai and Master Lu. He is a scholar. Do you want to meet him? Since he was recommended by Old Tai, of course I have to meet him. Wang Sheng answered quickly. Old Tai had done so many things for Wang Sheng. He had to give him face no matter what. Of course, Wang Sheng could not meet an outsider in the Grand View Garden, so he hurried back to Duke Changsheng's residence. Not long after, Wang Sheng waited for Old Tai to bring that friend to his residence. Greetings, Duke Changsheng. Old Tai and Wang Sheng were already very close. Wang Sheng had always treated him as an elder, so there was no need for him to salute. However, the scholar who came with him bowed to Wang Sheng in a very genteel manner. No. Wang Sheng hurriedly returned the greeting. He had come with Old Tai. Wang Sheng was not used to such an old man bowing to him. When this scholar followed Old Tai in, Wang Sheng sized him up. He looked like a scholar. He was dressed in a long robe and seemed to be a bit arrogant. It was a pity that the robe was old and full of patches. He had the air of a scholar when he walked, but he was as thin as a bamboo pole. His face wasn't that great either. He wouldn't dare to say that he was ugly, but he definitely couldn't be considered good-looking. He couldn't even be compared to his usual appearance, and could only be described as ugly. In particular, this person had a mustache above his lips and a goatee on his chin. He was thin and had a protruding mouth and monkey cheeks. At first glance, he looked like a wolf with a mouse's eyes and a slightly wretched appearance. In any case, compared to those so-called grand scholars that Wang Sheng had seen before, he looked as awkward as could be. My surname is Qian, Qian as in money. This Mr. Qian had the air of a scholar and proudly introduced himself. Greetings, Mr. Qian. Wang Sheng was also very polite and respectfully called him Mr. What Mr.? Old Tai, who was at the side, immediately spoke up. Qian Suiding, it's fine if you're sour at our side, but you have to be this sour in front of the Duke? Duke, just call him Qian Suiding. We're used to it. TSK. This Mr. Qian called Qian Suiding had a look of disdain. Don't you know etiquette? Old Tai, don't speak nonsense. I speak nonsense. Old Tai laughed and was about to expose Qian Suiding's past when Wang Sheng, who was at the side, hurriedly stopped him. Old Tai, don't. We're all friends. Since you're here, you're guests. Don't be awkward. Duke, it's awkward to hear you say Mr. here and there. Old Tai looked at Qian Suiding's proud expression and said unhappily, change it. Then I'll call you Old Qian. Wang Sheng asked Qian Suiding. Calling him Old Qian was more intimate and respectful, but it wasn't so formal. Look, this young man is still polite. Elder Qian pointed at Wang Sheng and grumbled at Elder Tai. You bunch of old fogies don't know anything, and yet you dare to make fun of this old man. When Wang Sheng saw the two of them bickering, he knew that they had a good relationship in private. He smiled and made an inviting gesture to the two of them. Old Tai, please. Old Qian, please. I've already prepared some good wine. Please follow me. Old Tai was quite at ease in Duke Changsheng's residence. The moment he heard there was good wine, he turned and left without another word. On the other hand, it was Old Qian's first time here. He didn't hide his love for wine and laughed. I've long heard that Duke Changsheng's residence has good wine. I'm in luck this time. Along the way, Wang Sheng observed. Old Tai's friend Qian Suiding was a scholar, but his cultivation should be not bad. He didn't dare to say he was at the legendary level, but he was at least in the 8th stage. Along the way, with Wang Sheng's hearing ability, within 100 feet of the residence, other than a few old Taoist officials of the Qing generation, there was no one else who was quieter than Qian Suiding's footsteps. However, when he saw the little thing that Qian Suiding was playing with in his hand, Wang Sheng couldn't help but laugh. In Old Qian's left hand, he was holding a small brush. It was like a beautiful piece of jade. He kept playing with it, making one unable to restrain their laughter. But Wang Sheng couldn't laugh. That was something that belonged to Wang Sheng's own business, a product of Qian Xingyuan. There were many people playing with Qian Xingyuan stationery. Qian Suiding wasn't the only one. Is Duke looking at this? Wang Sheng's gaze only lingered on old Qian's left hand for a while. Old Qian raised his left hand and held the small brush as he asked Wang Sheng. That's right. Wang Sheng nodded. There was nothing to be embarrassed about. He had looked at it. However, old Qian's five senses were really sharp. He only took a few more glances, and he had already sensed it. Do you have any advice? Old Qian seemed to be very interested in why Wang Sheng would pay attention to this. He opened his mouth and asked. He didn't care that he had just met Wang Sheng and was still a stranger. I don't dare to give advice. I'm just a little curious. Wang Sheng smiled. He pointed at the brush pendant and asked, Elder Qian, this brush pendant can be exchanged for who knows how many decent clothes. Why are you still wearing such shabby clothes? Once this question was asked, Old Tai and Old Qian both laughed. Isn't it because Duke is good at making money? Old Qian smiled with slight reproach. I've already spent my entire fortune buying this. Naturally, I can't afford to wear good clothes. Forgive me for being presumptuous. Wang Sheng shook his head. This brush is obviously Teacher Lu's handiwork. Since Old Qian and Teacher Tai have a good relationship, why buy it from Qian Xingyuan? Teacher Lu giving you a piece isn't something worth mentioning, right? That's different. Old Qian shook his head and replied, It's fine to freeload on a daily basis, but this is Old Lu's capital to survive. He relies on this to live. How can he casually ask for it? Chapter 1050. What an interesting person. Since you said that, I'll give you a little toy to play with. It's more fitting than this. When Wang Sheng heard this, he was filled with respect. He smiled at Old Qian and said, Old Qian, please don't refuse. This Qian Sourding looked wretched, but his words showed that he was a good person. Everyone was on good terms with each other, so they ate and drank together. However, he would never take the works that Master Lu and the others made for sale for free. He would rather go bankrupt and buy them from Qian Shengyuan than ask for them from Master Lu and Elder Tai. Wang Sheng was quite impressed by people with principles. I've long heard that Duke Changsheng is generous. You live up to your reputation. Old Qian laughed and said, I'll gladly accept your kindness. I know you're rich, so I won't stand on ceremony. Rosa had been waiting by the side. When she heard Wang Sheng's words, she glanced at Old Qian from head to toe and left in a hurry. Wang Sheng smiled and invited Old Tai and Old Qian to take a seat. They went directly to the small courtyard where Old Tai and the others were served. There was a table in the courtyard. The three of them sat down, and Wang Sheng personally poured wine for the two old men before inviting them to have a taste. As they drank to their heart's content, Old Tai took the initiative to speak. Duke, I heard from Foreign that you were looking for an appraiser, but this old man has never heard of such a title. May I know what the Duke's job is as an appraiser? Old Tai asked again, but Old Qian was listening. Wang Sheng also understood that Old Tai was afraid that Old Qian and Wang Sheng weren't close, so he asked on Old Qian's behalf. Old Tai, Old Qian, an appraiser is actually very simple. After Wang Sheng accompanied the two of them for a small drink, he explained, it's a person who is knowledgeable and has good eyesight. When he takes out an item, he can determine its generation, explain its ins and outs, point out its unique features, answer the questions of those who ask for it, and finally determine its value. That's basically it. Wang Sheng's words were vague, but the meaning was almost the same. Basically, it was a job like this. As for the details, Wang Sheng used antiques as an example and explained them in detail while drinking. Not only that, but Wang Sheng also used the pen in Qian Lao's hand and said it again. For example, whose craftsmanship was it? What materials were used, where it came from, what year it was, what markings were on it, who had collected and appraised it during that period, what artistic characteristics it had, and so on. He analyzed it for Old Tai and Old Qian. As he spoke, the topic shifted to calligraphy and painting. Of course, Wang Sheng didn't forget to mention the reason why paintings and calligraphy couldn't be called antiques for the time being. However, how to appraise them was to rely on the paper, the ink, the tip of the brush, the technique, and so on to identify the work of a master painter. This was also a kind of appraisal. The two of them listened very carefully. After listening to Wang Sheng, Old Tai didn't say anything and turned to look at Old Qian. Wang Sheng knew that Old Qian definitely had something on his mind. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come with Old Tai. Therefore, he accompanied the two of them to drink while waiting quietly. Old Qian carefully pondered over Wang Sheng's words. After a while, he asked hesitantly, "Duke, according to what you said, is it possible for an appraiser to become a grandmaster? There are masters in all 360 trades." Wang Sheng answered without hesitation, "Let's not talk about appraisers. Today, in my residence, I'll be arrogant and say it arrogantly. Although my cultivation isn't that great, I'm sure that I'm definitely a gourmet grandmaster as well as a music appraiser grandmaster. There are masters in all trades." Old Qian was digesting Wang Sheng's words just now and seemed to be deeply touched. That's right. Wang Sheng roughly understood why Old Qian was looking for him. He answered very seriously, "To be honest, there are more and more division of labor nowadays. The original division can no longer meet the current requirements. For example, Master Lu used to be a stone carving grandmaster. However, ever since he started carving ink stones and stationery, he's actually already refined stone carving ink stones. He's still a grandmaster. Let's take Old Tai as an example." After Wang Sheng gave Master Lu as an example, he continued to talk about Old Tai. "In the past, Old Tai was a blacksmith grandmaster. However, I think there should be a subdivision now. Old Tai should be a grandmaster in fine craftsmanship, and not just a blacksmith grandmaster." Old Tai was a little surprised to hear Wang Sheng mention himself. However, he felt that Wang Sheng's words made sense. In recent years, Old Tai rarely forged weapons. He was completely helping Wang Sheng make precision parts of machines, such as heavy sniper crossbows, lathes, sewing machines, and so on. He was completely unlike the old blacksmith who needed to stand by the fire and make clanking sounds. However, it was impossible to say that Old Tai wasn't a blacksmith grandmaster. Just as Wang Sheng said, there was a subdivision of the industry. I don't think there was a grandmaster in musical array formations in the past, right? Wang Sheng once again brought up a mature example. Now, you should also know that no one would dare say that the person Yun is overseeing is better than that old man in terms of music-related formations. You're saying that he's not a musical array formation grandmaster? Duke, if this old man wants to try. Old Qian finally didn't have any other thoughts and directly asked Wang Sheng. However, just as he asked this, Old Tai interrupted him. "Qian Sourding, I said you're sour, but you're getting more and more sour. I've said it for you. Duke, Qian Sourding wants to be an appraiser. Do you think he's qualified? Among our friends, he was the only one who seemed to know everything but wasn't good at anything. Moreover, he had studied so much that there was only a sour taste left in his mouth. If he could walk the path of a grandmaster appraiser, it would be his chance. Duke, what do you think? Whether it succeeds or not doesn't depend on me." Wang Sheng laughed. Old Tai's friends were really interesting. This Old Qian was really a bit genteel. In the eyes of Old Tai and the others, it was a sign of sourness. If Elder Qian can bring out his true abilities and explain everything clearly and logically, that's the beginning of his path to becoming a great grandmaster. Wang Sheng continued, "Don't the two of you agree?" "Yes, yes." Old Tai nodded. "Whether it succeeds or not, he has to show his real ability. Duke, why don't you let Old Qian try those things of yours?" "No problem." Wang Sheng agreed without hesitation. He stood up, walked to the door, and instructed Steward Wang, who was standing outside, to prepare the things. Steward Wang hadn't returned yet, but Rosa, who had just left, had already returned with a tray. "Old Qian, I just asked a few masters to rush out a new robe for you. Do you think it fits?" Rosa held the tray. On it was a brand new robe that was neatly folded. When the masters heard that it was made for you, they all put down their work and rushed it out for you. Do you want to try it first? That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.